It is stop number 5 of the Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship, and this time round we head 209 kilometres northeast of Melbourne to country Victoria, not far from beautiful Benalla and located in the picturesque Glenrowan wine region. Welcome everyone to Winton, of course, home to Winton Motor Raceway, and a very pivotal round as we arrive at the business end of the championship. Thank you very much for joining our coverage. Emma Francesco here with you, and plenty of wind about. We've already had some very wet conditions this weekend. More rain expected today, a 60% chance of rain from 1 o'clock and only a top of 13 degrees. So some tricky racing conditions expected today, that is for sure. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, a very important round, especially for the Kawasaki Superbikes coming into this weekend. As we take a look at the championship points, only 1 point in it, with Mike Jones leading the championship, Crew Halliday in second, and Brian Starring rounding out the top 3. But a lot can change in a day. Really looking forward to an action-packed day of racing and some close racing ahead of us. I will bring you all the goss from pit lane. Of course, Steve Martin is here too, but at the moment we're almost ready to go racing. It is a big hello and good morning. Hope you're staying warm, boys. Mark Brax and Phil Harlem.
Yeah, thank you very much, Emma, and what a great track it is here this weekend. The weather hasn't played ball really, because the weather has been quite unpredictable, as Emma mentioned, but it's a very tricky track, not only in the dry, Braxy, but also in the wet. But what a great track it is, though, for racing action. The start here this weekend is so important. Down into turn 1, has seen its fair share of pandemonium over the years.
Yeah, they funnel in there through that spokes S's, the left, then the right, then the charge up the hill over the old pit straight into the very critical YMF turn number 3, which is downhill and off camber, and it's caught a hell of a lot of people off this weekend.
Well, and also those 2 corners are a lot faster than what they appear when you actually look at the corners. The riders flow through there, and of course this is one of the most daunting corners on the whole circuit here at Winton. The Suzuki left-hander straight down into Suzuki right, and the change of direction there is really a fair indication of who's on their game.
And over the top of the crown of the road into this, the first 3 semi-hairpins, the YMF right turn, then it's a switch back to a left, very slow, 80 kilometres. Got to get your line right here to set yourself up to get into the apex of this corner, to get the all-important drive for this quick sprint down the back straight, the YMI back straight into AGB turn number 10.
A great overtaking opportunity if you can get that drive. And of course, the final complex of corners, MA turn 11, and also Yamaha, the right-hander that leads back out onto the start-finish straight. There's also an overtaking opportunity in the middle of those if you can time your run perfectly, and 250 k's an hour plus over the start-finish straight as you complete the lap here. It was about Mad Mike Jones on the weekend, though. This weekend for qualifying, he got his 3rd pole position in a row, and fastest ever motorcycle lap around the Winton circuit.
Yeah, 1:19.994, and 3 pole positions in a row, and it's given him another extra point, and it just shows you how critical a point system is, because if we didn't have those pole position points, Crew Halliday and Mike Jones would be on equal points going into this round to this afternoon.
Yeah, he came into this championship with 1 point lead. He's now 2 points ahead of Crew Halliday, who has once again proven, Braxy, to be very consistent this weekend, and will well and truly be in the game when it comes to race pace today. 16 laps around here is a very physical effort, and especially if you throw in the changeable weather conditions. A bit of wind around today too, which brings a whole new dimension.
Well, and you're saying about Crew, his consistency is there. He hasn't won a race this year yet, but he's been leading the championship, and it could be very interesting how that is. So let's go down trackside with Steve and Emma.
Yeah, guys, thanks very much. I'm down here with Troy Herfoss. He had a horror day yesterday. He was expecting to be somewhere on the front row of the grid. Normally, he's very fast at this circuit. But I've got to say, yesterday, boy, 2 big crashes. Firstly, are you physically okay?
Yeah, Steve, I'm okay. Very scary, but my own bad luck in the first crash. I was just pushing pretty hard at the end of the first qualifying session. As you know, I've had not much dry time, so we're trying to, get a fast lap. Get a race set up. Anyway, I created a bit of my own bad luck. The boys worked flat out between sessions. Unfortunately, we had a lot of bad luck, and we had a brake failure as such. It was quite scary. Unfortunately, I only got out for one lap at the end, and I was on the wet bike, and we should have just stayed in pit lane, I think. But anyway, we're here today, and we're happy to go.
Yeah, well, it's good to see that you managed to have a good sleep, recover those nerves, because this morning, in the morning warm-up, it looks like it's back to business for you. You were right up there, second fastest, and it looked like you're on top of your game. Your lap times were like bang on lap after lap.
Yeah, I think I set my best lap for the weekend on the race tyre. Yeah, we had a really good pace of the test before we come here, and we haven't changed the bike really from that point, which is lucky. But yeah, I was very nervous the first few laps because I had a bit of a scare yesterday. But I'm so happy. I was so happy to see P1 there briefly. Mike pit me, but we've got really good pace, and I'm just so excited to even start from fourth row. It's going to be fun to get out there and bang bars, and hopefully I can pull something off. I need to.
All right, thanks a lot, Troy.
Thank you.
Back to you, boys.
Thanks very much, Steve. Great to hear from Troy Herfoss. I did speak to him this morning. He was limping around a little bit, but I asked him about that brakes. He goes, no, I'm all good. That's typical Troy Herfoss. He'll put that behind him and he'll come out today, as he's just shown in morning warm-up this morning.
I'm going to be all eyes on the inside of the fourth row at the start of that race, mate, because the red and black bowling ball is going to be coming through, and if anybody gets in the way, because it's ultra critical that he gets a good start.
It is, but the other thing is, though, too, I was only thinking, remember Wakefield Park for a couple of years, stalled on one, didn't get it into first gear in the other one, was essentially last going into turn one. I think he won both of those races. So for Troy Herfoss, he's not actually starting from the back of the grid. He's starting midway through the grid. So it's going to be ultra critical for him to get those first laps down, but it's not something that he hasn't had to do before.
No.
And
he'll have the pressure relief valve will be set very high.
Yes, there will be red mist well and truly engaged as we get ready for our first race of the day, the Yamaha Motor Finance R3 Cup. And we saw some great racing in this class yesterday. Johnny Littress leads the championship. Hunter Ford in second place. Not too much between them, but then it is very tight. Zach Levy only 1 point further back, and Maxi Stoper crashed out yesterday, is in fourth place in the championship. He will start from pole position, though, Max Stoper, with Ben Baker, who had a big crash yesterday. Doubtful whether he'll actually take up his position on the grid.
He's not. I've spoken to his mum, Karen, this morning, and he's okay to race, but Mum said, no, I'm not letting it happen this time. He beat himself up pretty badly. But then on the second row of the grid, we've got Brendan Demery, Lockie Taylor, and Luke Johnson. Taylor and Johnson second and third. Well, first, second, and third in the race yesterday from the second row. Then Zach Levy, Johnny Littress, who's struggling this weekend with a bit of setup problems, and Tristan Addison, ninth on the grid.
Matt Rindell will start out of position number 10, along with Harry Parker and Ryan Smith. Reece Orchard, Jacob Rulstead and Xylus Bunting, three young fellas back there on that next row of the grid. And a lot of riders once again stepping up and doing double duty from the Oceania Junior Cup, also in Supersport 300 and Yamaha R3. Well, we're off to a start now as the riders come round through the first corner. And it was Maxi Stoper that was leading them as they came down into the first set of corners there at turn 1 and turn 2. That's only the warm-up lap. I was going to say, I didn't think that they'd been on their warm-up lap yet. As they come round...
They look like they're racing from the time they get on a motorbike.
Well, I think they're all practising how important it is to get round through turn 1 in that critical jump off the line, and then through turn 1 and turn 2 and up over the old start-finish line.
You've got 30 guys there fighting for a bit of bitumen that are all out there. Then they've got to funnel themselves in. It's not just just on a turn, whereas where most tracks have got just one turn before the second one. But Winton is very unique in its first turn setup with having those spokes. You've got the left and the hard on the right.
Well, let's quickly jump down to Steve Martin on the down in pit lane before we get ready for a race start in his first race of today, the Yamaha Motor Finance R3 Cup.
We've just had Superbike warm-up here. One man that comes through the pack qualifies in 8th. You're going to have to do it again. Can you do it with the Kawasaki this time out?
Oh, I have to believe so. Yeah, look, qualifying has been certainly been our weakness this year, and again yesterday we've actually been kind of behind the 8 ball, a step behind, really from the test. I hope we have just taken a really good step forward this morning in the warm-up, and I'm hoping for. If it's going to be dry, I need it to be a little bit warmer. That would be ideal. Anyway. No matter the conditions, I'll be looking to make a charge in the opening laps, get myself in the best position I can, and try and reduce the gap to the guys at the front.
Right, thanks very much, Brian.
Thanks, Steve. Great to hear from Brian Starring down there on the grid. Now we're ready for a start, Braxy, as the riders come through, take up their positions on the grid. Max Stouffer, one of the last ones through, along with Brandon Demery on board bike number 11. He won the race yesterday afternoon, crossed the line in second, but took the race win due to the jump start penalty for Hunter Ford.
He said in the post-race interview with me that he didn't feel like a win because there was a rider in front of him.
Well, start line, Sam Phillips has left the front of the grid. We're ready for a start in the YMF R3 Cup. First race of today. Stouffer on pole position as he blasts off the line. Get a good start. Hunter Ford much more under control, and I reckon he probably waited a second before he left the line and made his way down in towards turn one. But Max Stouffer has got a good lead already as they come through. Is that Luke Johnson up into second position on board bike number 25? Then it's Hunter Ford and Lockie Taylor in fourth as they stream through turns 1 and turns 2, the spokes corners for the first time.
Yeah, Luke Johnson's taken a lot of confidence out of some good results, particularly with that podium finish yesterday afternoon. But Maxi Stouffer on that day glow orange lid on his head. He's just holding off the likes of Hunter Ford and Luke Johnson there in second position as they go through this fast Suzuki S's. Through it goes, stays on the side of the tyre a long time before you flick it up, go a bit off camber as they go across the crown of the road into the first of these switchbacks with the YMF hairpin.
Well, yesterday in the R3 Cup race we saw a couple of the championship front runners crash out and scored no points, so very important for those guys to get back on track here this morning as they come through the Kawasaki corner and down the YMF straight for the first time. It is Stouffer whose lead has been nibbled away by the riders in second and third. Currently it is Luke Johnson still just getting the better of Hunter Ford, but Hunter Ford is looking increasingly desperate to try and find a way past and take the challenge up to our race leader Max Stouffer as one goes down on the entry into the corner there before the run up the back straight.
Yeah, he was in that second bunch. I'm trying to think who that was. We won't get an official word on that when we get them.
Well, it was the AGV corner. It's claimed many victims this weekend. That was where Troy Herfoss had his big get-off yesterday when the brakes failed in Superbike qualifying. And unfortunately, it's claimed another victim as they come across the line to complete the first lap. It is Stouffer just holding off Luke Johnson, but Luke Johnson, I think, may have got the better of them as they come across the line.
Yeah, that was bike number 95 going down the road there. That was looking to be going down the leaderboard. Matty Windell, he did about a good result in the Victorian Road Racing Championships a couple of weeks ago. But now he goes back to our leaders with Hunter Ford leading away from Luke Johnson. Maxi Stouffer there's been swallowed up as they go back through Suzuki Sweeper for the second time of this 8-lap dash.
Well, we were saying before about this area of the track that Hunter Ford was looking increasingly desperate to try and find his way past. He's managed to do that now, and he's got a decent lead over Luke Johnson. Stouffer's back to third place. Was that Demery or Zach Levy that just came up the inside of Lockie Taylor on board 151? I think it may be Brandon Demery on board bike number 11. But it's Hunter Ford on 20 that leads from Johnson Stouffer. And then the top 5 or 6 bracks have really started to get away now from the rest of the field.
I think Hunter Ford might be a little bit wound up about that 60th of a second, the difference between what happened yesterday when he got relegated 10 seconds for a jump start penalty. But now he's back at it. Maxi Stouffer's up the inside side by side as they come into turn number 11, MA corner. But Stouffer's just there, Luke Johnson. These guys will be swapping paint and places. But while doing that, Hunter Ford, the kid from New South Wales, has managed to get about a 4 bike length lead over Maxi Stouffer. There's bike number 25, Luke Johnson. Oh, sweeps past him. Gets the inside running into Spokes S's. Nice move by number 25, Luke Johnson. He's another 15-year-old.
Yeah, great use of the slipstream there as well as he pulled out of on the inside run down into the Spokes corners. Demery now starting to close in on the back of Max Stouffer as well. Right behind him is Lockie Taylor on 151 and then Zach Levy.
I was going to say, who's at the back of this bunch?
Yeah, not for too long though, I think, because we're only on lap 3 of 8. He'll be keeping his powder dry at the moment.
Oh,
as Stouffer tried to go back around the outside as Demery came up the inside.
And just swept straight past him. He did a good move yesterday afternoon to Brandon Demery in that part of the track. So he's up to third position at the moment, relegating Max back to fourth after leading the race earlier on. Now I've got to see if Hunter Ford can manage to hold this rage, and that gap now 0.5 of a second between first and second. The body language, he has a quick look just to see where the opposition is. but the body language of Hunter Ford means he is really meaning business as Lockie Taylor starts to make a move on Max Stover. Max Stover was saying yesterday afternoon they're having rear grip issues with the R3 machines, and maybe that's still chasing him, and the fact that they had a late night last night rebuilding the bike after Max's get off in this race yesterday afternoon.
He's all over the back of Luke Johnson at the moment. Oh, is that Demery that's run wide, and Johnson comes up the inside there as they make their way round through Yamaha corner and out onto the start-finish straight. Fastest man on track on the last lap was Brandon Demery with a 1:32.925. What have they been able to do on this last lap as they come across? It's Hunter Ford, the fastest man now, with a 1:32.632. And look at that lead as they come through the Spokes S's tracks. He's just eking it out by 1 length as they come up across the old start-finish line. Demery and Johnson on the identically liveried machines, having a real ding-dong battle there.
It's a classic scenario, isn't it? While these other guys are bashing each other up and having a bit of a mugging session, it allows the leader to get away and just concentrate on the job at hand. They're going through Suzuki Sweeper now for the 4th time, so they're approaching half race distance of this second leg of the YMF R3 Cup here at Winton for 2019.
Looked like Johnson must have made a mistake through Pirelli corner because he was right on the back of Brandon Demery, and then in the space of one corner he lost a lot of distance. Demery started to move forward and try to challenge Hunter Ford, as at the same time Luke Johnson has fallen back into the clutches of Max Stover, with Lockie Taylor and Zach Levy not too far behind. Just having a look behind those guys. Johnny Littress, the next rider through, looking like he's starting to get his weekend back on track in position number 7, but he's usually a front runner in this class. Ryan Smith, who's having a pretty good weekend, in 8th. Jacob Ralston, one of our juniors from the Oceania Blue Crew Junior Cup, is up into 9th, and Tristan Adamson on bike number 864 rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, when you're saying about Johnny Littress, he wasn't here for the testing either, and the wet weather threw him a spanner in the works when he had a small get-off, our championship leader at the moment. So he's been a bit behind the 8 ball, and it just shows you how critical it is to have a good setup and know your way around this track, because he'd been here before with the GP Juniors when he was in the junior category, but to still jump in on one of these machines and the tricky conditions we've had, it's made it a bit hard for him to get up to speed. But up to speed at the moment is Brandon Demery. He's right onto the back wheel of bike number 20, Hunter Ford, our race leader, as we start the 5th lap as they go through Pirelli turn number 4. And Maxi Stover's back up the 3rd, relegating Luke Johnson. Lockie Taylor just holding off his teammate Zach Levy.
You see Hunter Ford had a look over his shoulder, saw that Brandon Demery was right there, so just backed out of it a fraction and let Brandon Demery take the lead. That may not be the smartest of move, because Brandon Demery was looking there that he could put his bike anywhere on the track that he wanted, and caught up to Hunter Ford with relative ease.
And Hunter had a bit of a moment there on the change of direction from the left going into the right too, just a bit of a front end twitch and a little bit of a slide. There is a join there over the track that can catch you out as well, and a bit of a dip in the bitumen.
Johnson's dropped back another position now. He's back into 4th position as Stover starts to get away from him as well. But look who's right behind Luke Johnson. I think he's about to get the treatment from bike number 87, Zach Levy.
He's going to get the Puma RV treatment and just steamroll over the top of him. Hunter Ford having a look up the inside as they come down now the last couple of corners of this 5th lap of this 8-lap journey. Now Hunter Ford, if he can get good drive out of this corner and just tuck him behind Demery, you wait to see him pull out of the slipstream. Is he going to wait to get into the slipstream, or is he just going to come dive bombing up the inside?
Well, that's 5 laps complete now of the 8-lap journey, so we're over halfway. Stover's managed to really pull himself back into this. We thought at one stage Hunter Ford was starting to get away. Then we thought Brandon Demery was starting to get away. Now they're a group of 3 at the front, and looking like they've just got a fraction more lap speed than what the 3 riders have from behind.
And now that they can see that the 3 of them there, this might drag along Luke Johnson, Zach Levy and Lockie Taylor as our 3 leaders becoming embroiled in a slipstreaming and strategic battle to try and put themselves in the better track position as they come up through the Suzuki S's now into this series of hairpin switchbacks to the old water tower corners they used to be named many years ago, because the racing's been going on at Winton since 1963. So Brandon Demery, now he wants to win cleanly on track. Yesterday he followed Hunter Ford home, who had the 10-second jump start penalty, which relegated him back to 5th position. But Brendan now, his birthday yesterday too, so he's continuing the celebrations by the look of it.
Just having a look at it too, it looks like, I know that Hunter Ford has got one of the brand new Yamaha R3s, but he looks like he's back on the old model as well, as is Brandon Demery. But Max Stover this weekend has been getting up to pace on the brand new machine.
Well, I think
looking more and more comfortable on it as well.
I think Zach Levy might have inspired him to have a look at the 2019 version, because him and Lockie Taylor were the first ones to put their faith in it and push forward and develop it a bit more as Max Stover and Hunter Ford come up the inside. Maxie Stover from third to first. Does he make it stick? No, Hunter Ford is in there. Great move from there, Brandon Demery. But Brandon didn't put up too much of a fight, and he thought, okay, I can make this work for me as well. As Luke Johnson now on bike number 25 drags along Zach Levy, our inaugural winner of the YMF R3 Cup back in 2016, with Lockie Taylor right behind him.
Yeah, they're just trying to make up that little bit of a gap. Oh, Levy was out very wide, actually using the ripple strip there as a bit of a berm to get the Yamaha R3 turn to take the run down to the long left-hander at the Suzuki corner, and then that crashed in the road that you mentioned before, Braxy, where they changed direction. It is still Hunter Ford leading from Max Stover and Brandon Demery. But remember 12 months ago at this round, it was where Max Stover went from one of the guys that was there in the top 10 to being a consistent race winner, and he has not stopped doing that ever since that round 12 months ago, and here he is back again 12 months later challenging for the race win.
Yeah, it was 2 pole positions and 5 wins from 6 starts and 1 crash, so a bit of everything that weekend.
And that was a crash dicing for the race lead.
It was, yes. So we're down now through AGV turn number 10, coming down to complete lap number 7. They'll get the last lap board as they cross the start-finish line this time round, but it's Hunter Ford at the moment. Just over 3 kilometres to go, Winton Motor Raceway for leg number 2 of the YMF R3 Cup. And it's any one of 3 at the moment, because I can't see Luke Johnson, Zach Levy and Lockie Taylor doing anything unless they can pull something out of the bag. Now as Maxie Stover's out the inside, down into turn number 1, Spokes S's, grabs the lead. Now he's got to hang on to it, and even a bit of a wibble and a weave there going through the S's. And Hunter Ford comes up the outside, seeing that happen to Max, thinking I can take advantage of this.
Yeah, he did. It looked like he just had that fraction more exit speed and was able to drive up over the hill as they come down round through the Pirelli corner now and down to the all-important long sweeper, which then starts the S's. If you can go into the S's in the lead, you have the opportunity to try and pull out a couple of bike lengths lead and get the run down that YMF back straight that leads to one of the last overtaking opportunities in this last lap.
Yeah, they're coming up soon. You've got to get the line. Oh, Maxi's running a bit wide, and who's that put it into the weeds?
That's at Spokes Corner, turn 1 and 2. That looks like a big crash. Had to rip the fairing off it to try and get it back on. He'd be able to race in a naked bike class if there was one, Braxy, with no fairing on it. But he's still Hunter Ford leading through the Kawasaki corner, down the YMI straight for the final time. Stover tries to go up the inside of Brandon Demery, does so. But he's got to try and catch up to Hunter Ford, who's got a very handy couple of bike length lead now, leading down into the last complex of corners.
Yeah, Maxie Stover ran it wide through those section of S-bends, but it hasn't slowed him up too much to get back into second position. Harry Parker was the one that we saw on screen. That was his 5th crash for the weekend. So he's getting very used to the infield as we come onto the start-finish straight for the last time of this race.
Can Max Stover do the slipstream as he tries to tuck in behind Hunter Ford? He's going to have to time it to absolute perfection. That comes to the line. No, it's Hunter Ford that takes the win by a very, very small margin, 0.052 of a second, in fact, as they come across the line. Stover in second. Brandon Demery takes third, 0.483 of a second behind the race leader. Then it's Luke Johnson in 4th place, and Zach Levy takes 5th, with Lockie Taylor, the last rider in that lead group of 6 riders, as they come round to complete the last lap. This massive field making its way through. Here's a replay of that incident at turn 1 on the start of the last lap, the Spokes corner, and unfortunately Harry Parker going down there, and as Braxy said, that's a lot of crashes for him this weekend as he's tried to learn the Winton Motor Raceway circuit. Bike number 224 will require a few repairs before it gets ready for the 3rd and final Yamaha YZF R3 race this afternoon. Hunter Ford takes that win from Max Stover and Brandon Demery. Luke Johnson in 4th, Zach Levy 5th, Lockie Taylor in 6th, Christian Adamson in 7th, Ryan Smith in 8th, Jacob Ralston, one of the juniors, having a good outing there inside the top 10 in 9th, and Reece Orchard, another one of the juniors, on bike number 121, takes 10th place. Johnny Litcher slipped back to 11th ahead of Silas Bunting in 12th. Archie McDonald, another junior, in 13th. Zach Pettendy, another junior, in 14th. Jacob Hatch makes it a whole lot of juniors inside that top 15, just ahead of Stephanie James, Josh Noden, Jeremy Smock, Matt Rindell and Patrick Bognar rounding out the top 20. Here's the highlights of the race. You can see Max Stover got a fantastic jump off the line. Hunter Ford went with him as well, but Stover led them down through the Spokes corners, turns 1 and turn 2 for the first time. But Luke Johnson also getting a great start from the second row of the grid slotted bike number 25 up into second place early on. Brendan Demery was also looking to make a charge on board bike number 11. Didn't get the best of starts, but after a couple of corners was well and truly making his way forward. And it wasn't long before he was up in the lead group and challenging for the race lead. Hunter Ford was back to third place. And we saw our first rider go down at AGV corner. Bike number 95, that was Matt Rindell, unfortunately crashing out early. Hunter Ford had a handy little lead as the riders behind all battled, with Brendan Demery making his way through on board bike number 11, giving a few of the other riders a bit of a tip to stick behind him as he made his way forward. And it wasn't long until he made his way right forward and onto the back of Hunter Ford's machine bike number 20, who had led the race comfortably. Max Stoper also started to make his way forward and retook the lead in the dying stages as they came down through the spokes corner. At the start of the last lap, it was Stofer leading from Hunter Ford and Brendan Demery, but it wasn't long before another rider went down at turn 1 and Hunter Ford was back challenging for the lead around the back of the circuit. As they came onto the straight, it was Hunter Ford that led. Max Stofer couldn't get enough slipstream to slip past the line, and Hunter Ford took the win by 0.052 of a second over Stofer and Brendan Demery. Our race winner from yesterday afternoon took third place, and once again, a strong podium. Let's have a short break here at Winton. We'll come back. We'll hear from our top 3 in the first of our Yamaha Motor Finance R3 Cup races for today.
We are the innovators, the specialists, the ones who power the wheels of progress. Extraordinary innovation for on-road and off-road terrain. Estacore technology for improved engine protection and performance. We are going a step beyond to a new generation of motor oils. This is the vision of innovation. The new 300V squared.
Don't miss a second of the action. Every corner, every shift, every heartbreak. See your motorsport as it should be, live and free. Download your Motorsport TV experience now.
Our business is making dreams come true. Since 2002, we've realised over 130,000 Yamaha dreams and financed more than 200,000 motorcycle and boating passions. We've helped turn the smallest dreams and the largest dreams into reality. Are you ready to make your dream a reality?
Next we head to Headley, Victoria for rounds 10 and 11 from September 14th to 15th, where our champions will be crowned.
Welcome back to Winton. It's round 5 of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship. It's time to hear from our top three from the first race of the day for YMF R3 Cup.
Takes the lid off. An intense little race, that one, Brando, but you managed to get through and battle for the lead really well.
Yeah, the pace was pretty hot there early on, and even towards the end of the race, it felt like we were doing some pretty good lap times. That is what it is. I didn't win that one, which is unfortunate, but I made a few mistakes in the second last lap, which I think ultimately cost me a chance, and Maxi sort of gave me a bit of a block pass in the last lap there. So, it is what it is. It's racing. Had a bit of fun out there, and got to thank the team for working their butt off and making sure I get out here, and we finally found some pace and we're getting a bit of confidence back, and I can't thank them. 2 podiums from 2 starts, so it's pretty good, mate. Yeah, it's a good start. Back up the front, I'm happy. Thanks to all my supporters, our new supporters, Gorilla Energy, giving me heaps of energy out there to get these podiums. Thanks. And I'll get Maxi Stover to come over here as well for a quick chat as well. Handshakes all around, fist pumps. Better result for you this time, mate, than yesterday afternoon, but you recovered nicely.
Yeah. That first couple of laps, I was thinking about the crash yesterday, but then Hunter started to clear off, and when Demery got in front of me, he started pulling away too. So I knew I had to stop thinking about it and carry on. But it was a good race in the end. But keen for the next one.
No, and a little bit of a mistake on the last lap where you run wide up in the hairpins there.
Yeah, a little bit. On the change of direction, I actually changed a bit fast, and I come up against the ripple strip pretty quickly, and then I lost a bit of momentum, so Demery was able to come up the inside of me. All right, mate, all the best for the next one. Thank you. And we move on to our winner, Hunter Ford, to make up for his bit of a whoopsie yesterday afternoon with the jump start, mate. That a good race for you all round. You're very determined from the outset.
Yeah, feels good to be back up there. Got unlucky with the jump start. I could have had 2 wins, but I had to make a comeback, prove I could still win.
So tell us about that race. How'd it go for you with fighting with these guys?
I kind of got off in front for a bit and just led for a bit of the race, and then, just kind of went for it, and then knew they were still behind me, so just kept going.
All right, mate, all the best for the next one.
All right, thanks.
No worries, that's Hunter Ford first. Second was Maxi Stoford. Third was Brandon Demery. Back to you guys upstairs.
Oh, thanks very much, Brad. Getting ready now for the start of the Blue Crew Oceania Junior Cup, their second race of the weekend. Angus Grenfell will start from pole position with Carter Thompson in second and Jacob Ralston in third. Second row of the grid is Glenn Nelson, Archie McDonald, Tom Drain, and row 3 will be Max Gibbons, Marius Nicholas and Reece Orchard as we get ready for a start for the second race for the Oceania Blue Crew Junior Cup. Angus Grenfell started yesterday's race in great style and eventually won the race by 4.5 seconds. So getting ready for the start now after their combined more warm-up and sighting lap. So once again, as we mentioned, Angus Grenfell, yesterday's race winner, starting from pole position on board bike number 36. And Carter Thompson out of second position on that front row of the grid. Was leading the championship, Carter Thompson, coming into this round. But I think after yesterday's race, they're actually tied on points now, Angus Grenfell and Carter Thompson, at the start of the top of the championship. 136 points each, I think, from memory for both of those riders. As we get ready for a start now, the revs rise. A great start there from the front row of the grid. Both Carter Thompson and Angus Grenfell getting a cracking start as they make their way down to the Spokes S's turn 1 for the first time. It is bike number 36. That's Angus Grenfell that just managed to sweep round in the lead. There's a fair bit of carnage happening back in the field. Looked like bike number 69, Archie McDonald, was coming up the inside, nudging a few riders wide as they make their way down in towards turn 3 for the first time. There's a good close-up of bike number 24, Jamie Port, making his way through, getting a good jump off the line and mid-pack in this massive field of 26 riders as they make their way down towards the Pirelli corner, and then now the Suzuki sweeper for the first time. Angus Grenfell leads, and he's got 0.9 of a second lead already in an exact repeat of what he did in yesterday afternoon's race. Currently in second position is bike number 69, Archie McDonald, having another great ride here as they make their way through the S's now for the first time. And this big field of riders all starting to, really trying to hang on to the very fast starting Angus Grenfell.
Yeah, he did a second a lap increase in his lead yesterday afternoon, and he made a lot of his time up through those switchbacks. Looking at him yesterday afternoon, he was a lot more rapid there than what the others were. Archie McDonald doing well as well, Carter Thompson, and I don't know if you've mentioned, Phil, but these now, they've brought in a bit of a handicap system, for want of a better word, with the lighter riders have got to carry more fuel than what the heavier riders are to even them up a bit.
It was actually interesting talking to Damien Cudlin about that yesterday. He said it's interesting that they've made that change, but it's still the same guys that are running at the front.
Yeah, exactly, and they could put as much weight on it, but it's all corner speed with these little things, putting out about 17 horsepower.
Is that riders or bikes or both?
Both, I think it is.
So it looked like Carter Thompson was coming under a fair amount of pressure there from Glenn Nelson. Look at this, in fact, and bike number 59, Tom Drain, who was on the podium yesterday, has managed to use the triple slipstream there and find his way up into a third position ahead of Nelson on board bike number 39.
Yeah, both of these riders you mentioned, Tom Drain, the 2018 AMA dirt track champion in his age group over there in America. A very fine pedigree. Glenn Nelson hasn't done he's done dirt track as well, but he's really coming of age now for a 12-year-old that he is.
Interesting too, like you'll notice that all of the riders are all wearing AGV helmets, because that's part of the deal. They got a free helmet from AGV as part of the package, but then they could also use a very good discounted price to upgrade the helmets. And no, they're not oversized helmets. They're just relatively small riders. But they're
with extra padding in the helmets.
But some of them, yes, the range of sizes required that they had to get some of them with the extra small helmet with extra padding to make sure that they could fit in them safely. And I'll tell you what, these guys are doing a great job. Well,
look at the body language, these two at the front, Archie McDonald and Angus Grenfell. You think they've been doing GP racing for a number of years?
Well, and Angus Grenfell, is he channeling the man whose helmet that he's wearing, the Jack Miller helmet from a couple of years ago?
Could be, but he's getting I think he gets his elbow down further than what Jack does. But look at the gaggle. While we look at Grenfell and McDonald, have started to spread out. Then you go back, then there's a nice little bunches of good. Here we got with bike number 39, Glenn Nelson in front of Tom Drain. Tom Drain finished third yesterday in this race, as you said, Phil. And then behind him we've got Carter Thompson, Reece Orchard as well, Maxi Gibbons, Marianos Nicholas there in 8th, Cross Francis, who's never done any dirt tracking whatsoever, Jake Ralston rounding out the top 10. I thought Jake might have been a bit further up the leaderboard this weekend too. He's been rather consistent in the previous rounds.
He's been having some good rides on board the 300 as well as they make their way down towards the Spokes S's. Turn one, big move there from Tom Drain. He certainly doesn't mind running it fast into the Spokes S's on the brakes. And look at that group right behind. They're all so close. You're saying about Jacob Ralston back in 10th position, but a couple of overtaking manoeuvres, he could be up in the top 5.
Yeah, that's right. We got that big group of about 8 riders that have just freight trained themselves around this 3-kilometre Winton circuit. And great learning curve for this, because you've got to really maintain your corner speed around here, because they haven't got the straights to really do use any accelerations, and slipstreaming doesn't play a big part in it. It's more what you get the drive out of the final couple of turns to make those moves on the pit straight.
We have a look at Angus Grenfell. He looks like he's constantly tucked down behind the fair. It doesn't matter whether he's going along the straights, round the corners. He's just carrying so much corner speed on board bike number 36. You can see him there. Look at him tucked down behind the screens, even on the chain of direction. Round through the Kawasaki corner and down the YMF back straight. But this is the real interest at the moment, this battle that's currently being led by Tom Drain on board bike number 59, with Nelson on 39, Thompson on 21, Gibbons on 31, Orchard on 12, Nicholas on 46 and Cross Francis on 42. Cross Francis actually this weekend getting some good advice from his mentor too, Yanni Shaw, who got his weekend off to a great start with victory in the first of our Supersport 300 races.
Just looking at that, Carter Thompson and Glenn Nelson had a bit of a almost coming together. Probably just a little touch of paint. And look at the dive bombing going down through there as they come through the S sections back onto the straight to complete lap number 3 of this 6-lap journey. So it'll be half race down, and just getting word that Zach Pettendy on bike number 15 has been relegated 10 seconds for a jump start.
Well, there was a message up on our timing monitors that the start was under investigation, so I dare say there might have been a few riders that they were having a look at their starts to make sure that they weren't too quick. But it is still Tom Drain that's got the upper hand in this battle for third place, the last place on the podium, and the opportunity to talk with you after this race, Braxy. Oh, big move coming down the inside there from bike number 42, I think, was it? Cross Francis having a big look up the inside.
He's another diminutive little rider, comes from Mossman in Sydney suburbs.
Isn't it funny though too, you can tell these guys that are racing in the Oceania Blue Crew Junior Cup because they get here in the morning, they put their Recondi leathers on, they don't take them off all day. They're walking around in them. I think they're very comfortable in all of this gear, and a great package from Yamaha that's been offered with these race prepared machines as well.
$7,700 gets you the bike fully prepared and fully looked after for the year. You just got to turn up, put your helmet on and away you go. And talking about away you go, Angus Grenfell again pulling out now out to about 2.8 seconds. So roughly keeping that momentum up from last race yesterday afternoon with a second every lap that he was eking out from the opposition.
And you have a look at his fastest lap, pretty much bang on 1 second faster than anyone else has been able to muster up in this race.
We are going through AGV corner there, and you just saw them dive bombing each other, and it's the usual scenario here that if there's a bit of bitumen about 3.5 inches wide, which is approximately the width of a front wheel, you've got enough room to put your front wheel in front of somebody, and they've been doing it as they come down onto the straight, the complete lap number 4 of this 6-lap journey, and a new lap record, Angus Grenfell, a 1:45.054, eclipsing Joel Kelso's record from last year. Yeah, and you can also see confirmation on the timing monitors come up there of that jump start penalty for Zach Pettendy on board his Yamaha R15. I'll tell you what though, they're starting to mow back in or catch back up to the back of Archie McDonald. He's about to now be embroiled, and we'll have a 9-bike battle now for second place in this race. Their race leader has well and truly got away, but Archie McDonald, who was looking pretty comfortable on that last lap, was just 0.3 of a second slower than the remainder of that pack. He was back into the 46s. This big pack of riders, all in the low to mid 145s, have managed to catch him back up now as they come down through the S's and down into Suzuki corner. It is Tom Drain that is still managing to hold off Glenn Nelson. Marianas, Nicholas, Carter Thompson and Jake Wilson, 3 abreast as they went into that YMF hairpin that time.
They're relatively wide track, only small bikes. Plenty of room.
But we said 3.5 inches is all you need.
And look, Archie McDonald now must have got the warning because he's managed to pull out a little bit of distance. I wouldn't be surprised, Brax, if he made a mistake on that last lap, which brought him back into the clutches of this chasing group. And then in the space of half a lap, he's managed to pull out a few bike lengths distance and once again to be in a relatively safe second place as this big group of riders behind dispute that last place on the podium.
And they'll be disputing it for the next 3.5 kilometres as they come down and get the last lap board very shortly through MA turn 11 up to turn 12 for the drag down Motul Pirelli straight.
It might even be that back end of the section there, the new part of the Winton Motor Raceway circuit, is not the bit that agrees with Archie McDonald, because once again they seem to have caught right up onto him as they come down the Motul Pirelli straight and down into towards turn 1. I think you'll find that Tom Drain has actually moved up into second place. McDonald's gone back to third at least, and he could go back further as a few dive bombers come down into the spoke chassis.
I thought actually Glenn Nelson on bike number 39 had got up the inside of him as well, as we just see momentarily Angus Grenfell on screen disappear through YMF turn number 3. But you see the front ends of these things working hard as the limits of adhesion with these tyres at the moment, as they try and fight for every little bit of real estate.
And you know who's on a charge too, Braxy? His last round winner, Jacob Ralston, on board bike number 74. He was back 9th or 10th. He's now up to 5th place and in prime position as they head down into the S's to try and launch a last lap assault on the rider in front, which is bike number 69, is it? Or 39? I couldn't tell because they were so quickly in there. There they are once again, 3 and 4 abreast through the S's. It is Tom Drain that holds down second place from bike number 69, Archie McDonald.
He was going to have a dive up the inside, wasn't he, Archie McDonald? You could see he grabbed a big handful of brake, thinking, no, I better not do it there. As they go down the back straight YMI, down into the last left-hander on the track, the AGV corner. As up the inside, and all he had a look was Archie McDonald on Tom Drain, but Tom Drain, nice covering defensive line as they went through the left-hander for the final time. Now up to the last section of this 3-kilometre track.
Yep, we're still trying to figure out who's going to finish in second, third position, but if this rider can make it through the last 2 corners, it will be victory once again for Angus Grenfell. He's second of the weekend in the second race for the Blue Crew Oceania Junior Cup. As he comes to the line, he's got a very handy lead, pushing out towards 4.5 seconds now. His head is still down behind the screen. He takes the win, pumps the air with his fist. He's very happy about that. Coming to the line, I think it's Tom Drain that gets second place over Archie McDonald as they come to the line. No, Glenn Nelson got there on the line to take third place ahead of Jacob Wilson, and Archie McDonald went from 3rd to 5th in the blink of an eyelid as they came across the line. Max Gibbons took 6th place. And great to see Tom Drain improving one position on his third place yesterday with 2nd place today, as the huge Oceania Blue Crew Junior Cup field makes its way through. All 23 riders looking like they're going to make it to the finish line as well. Checkered flag greets the riders as they come across. Their first race for today, their 2nd of the weekend, and one more race to go on today's program. But it's Angus Grenfell that takes the win by 3.7 seconds from Tom Drain, and Glenn Nelson will join them on the podium. Jacob Ralston had a great last lap charge and got up to 4th place in the end, only 4.2 seconds behind the race leader. Archie McDonald in 5th place, Max Gibbons in 6th. Carter Thompson on 21 will finish in 7th place ahead of Marianus Nicholas. Jacob Hatch inside the top 10, and Reece Orchard rounds out the top 10 on board bike number 12. Cross Francis in 11th place, Patrick Bognar in 12th, Zach Pettendy in 13th with that jump start penalty, Jamie Port in 14th, Lucas Quinn 15th, Varus Fleming in 16th, Jai Russo in 17th, Cormac Buchanan in 18th, Tom Connors 19th, and Hunter Diplock rounds out the top 20. Well, let's look at some highlights now of the first of the Oceania Blue Crew Junior Cup races for today. A great start from our poleman, Angus Grenfell, who just blasted off the line on board bike number 36, went through the S's with a handy lead and was never headed from there. 2nd place early on was bike number 21, Carter Thompson, and also bike number 69, Archie McDonald, got a good start as well. McDonald got out to a very safe 2nd place during the race, but the rest of the pack managed to drag him in as the race went on, and the leading pack, or the pack, was actually led by bike number 59, Tom Drain. You can see him there just holding off bike number 21, Carter Thompson, in the early stages of the race. Glenn Nelson on 39 was also doing a good job as well. Bike number 46 was also well placed. And at this stage, Jacob Ralston on board bike number 74 was starting to make his way forward in the pack. You can see him there just mid-pack in this group. As they came down the long back straight to one of the overtaking opportunities for the Yamaha Blue Crew Cup. 3 abreast through the start of the S's as the lap started to die down and everyone was trying to find their way up onto the podium. Tom Drain had managed to reel in bike number 69, Archie McDonald, as they came through the last lap, and was in 2nd position, but with a big pack of riders disputing the positions behind him, nothing was safe. The only thing that was safe, in fact, was this man here. He made it safely through the final corners and out onto the Motul Pirelli start-finish straight to take his 2nd win of the weekend, and in the end was 3.7 seconds ahead after 5 laps of racing, and a new lap record as well. Finally going on the last lap to Jacob Hatch with a 1:44.273, which helped him secure 9th position. But Angus Grenfell, Tom Drain and Glenn Nelson, our top 3, they'll be down on the podium very shortly. But before we hear from our top 3, down to Steve Martin in the pits.
Part of the joy of racing motorcycles is unfortunately crashing them. And if you can have a look behind me here, we've got one of Ollie Bayliss's machines that has gone down this weekend. You can see the team feverishly in the background working away, pulling all the stuff off. This one looks like a reasonably serious crash. You can see that he's broken the dash, the handlebars have been wiped off, the wheels are coming out. Glenn Richards in the background there, just stripping everything off the bike. Now the reason that they do that, of course, is they'll strip it back to a bare frame. They'll pull all the electronics off. You can see it there hanging off the side there. Put new subframes on. All of these parts they will have in the truck to make sure that this bike is back on track as the spare bike for him later on this afternoon. So it's not all fun and giggles out there. It gets serious sometimes, but you need a good team in the background to make things happen, and he's certainly got that.
Yeah, thanks very much, Steve. What a team he has got too. Glenn Richards, a former BSB champion, and has also got plenty of experience racing only in the last couple of years as well, and a great crew chief, former World Superbike and World Supersport crew chief as well, and a lot of experience down there in the Cube Racing pit for Ollie Bayliss. As Ollie Bayliss will be up very, very shortly in the first of our Motorsport TV Supersport races. Down to Mark Brax with our top 3 from the Blue Crew Oceania Junior Cup.
Right, here we go, ready to go. Glenn Nelson, another podium, but a hard-fought one at that.
Yeah, it was very tough out there for the whole race. Every lap it was hard to get through and make your own line, but we made it round and we started catching McDonald up at the end, and then I got by him second last turn to get third. It was pretty good.
What's your favourite part of this track?
Probably turn 5. It's so fun going through there with everyone.
All right, mate, Glenn Nelson in third position. In second position with another podium, make it 2 out of 2. Tommy Drain, well done, mate. And you were in determined mood, but you can't track this guy down at the moment. You've got to get him right from the start, haven't you?
Yeah, it was a very hard race. I had to track down Archie after a while, and then I had to track down Angus, but he was a fair bit away.
You'll have to make sure you get that better start in the third race this afternoon.
Yeah, I'll try to get a better start and get in front.
All right, Tom Drain, no worries. As we move on to our winner from two, and basically you decimated from the start, Angus, a second a lap. You did the same thing and you got a lap record as well.
Oh, thanks to know. Yeah, it was a great race. Got past in the first corner, but had to brake as late as I could just to get around him. And yeah, my same tactic, just get away in the first lap, push as hard as I could, and yeah, it was a great race.
Where do you reckon you make up all your gap on them?
Probably 1 and 2, not being too cocky, but yeah, I love that corner. That's my favourite part of the track.
All right, mate, I'm sure you're going to aim for 3 from 3, but well done, Angus Grenfell.
Thank you.
No worries, back to you guys upstairs.
Yeah, thanks very much, Braxy. Great to hear from our top 3 there, and Angus Grenfell, a young man on his game. Steve Martin, you'll have to be pretty impressed so far with the performances of Angus Grenfell here this weekend. At a very technical track for a man with such limited years. He seems to be riding this track like he's been doing it for years and years and years.
Yeah, it was absolutely impressive, especially on a track like this. Let me take you through it. You head through turn 1 and you dip to the left and to the right. You've got to right on the edge of the tyre. You have to be so careful as you drive out. This track is all about edge grip. A little bit of a down off camber right hand. This is the old turn 2 as you come onto that back straight. Once again, if you've got the gearing right, you can hold it all the way through as we head down the hill again into Pirelli corner. Up through the gearbox and then into the fastest corner on the track through this left-hand sweeper that leads into the Suzuki flip-flop at the end. Very difficult to overtake here. You can just see how tight it is. And then you run out to the edge of the circuit there on the end, on the front brake all the way through to the middle of the corner through YMF there, on the gas nice and early on the edge. And then this little section, it doesn't feel like it's fast, but I'll tell you what, you make a mistake, you soon know about it. Little blip into Kawasaki. Really important to get a good line out of here onto the back straight, because I'll tell you, if you get good drive out of there, there's an overtaking opportunity coming up into YMA. You can slip up the inside there, so the name of the game is to brake as late as you can. And also on the exit here, you've got to be careful because this is wheelie city. The bike's front wheel is just launching everywhere, so you want to try and keep that down. Once again, heavy braking as we turn into the final complex here. YMF on the right-hand side of the corner, a little flat. You can overtake here. We've seen it happen before. Through onto the back street. Yamaha revs your heart out onto the Pirelli straight. Tuck in over the line you go. And you know what, Phil? You get it right, you might be also doing the fastest lap of the weekend, like we saw Mike Jones earlier on in qualifying.
Yeah, very impressive. The first man into the 19s here at Winton Motor Raceway. As we get ready for the Supersport class, which is coming up next, the Motorsports TV Supersport class. Just I wanted to talk to you about that track. You mentioned the overtaking opportunities down there into the AGV corner. I noticed yesterday on one of your pillion rides, Steve Martin, you were exploring late braking opportunities, but we'll come back and talk more about that later on. Let's have a quick break before the Motorsports TV Supersport Racing comes up next.
turn number one. Who's going to have it?
Welcome back to Winton, round 5 of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship. Getting ready to really start the run home to the final round of the championship at Sydney Motorsport Park at the beginning of November. 6 races and 3 rounds for the Motorsports TV Supersport class, and the weather here this weekend has been very unpredictable. Currently there's a little bit of wind outside. It feels like 6 degrees. The track temperature will be pretty cold, and there will be plenty of movement around from these tyres in the early laps. Let's go down to Emma, who's on the grid, and it's sure to be a very exciting Motorsports TV Supersport race. Let's hear from the riders.
Thanks very much, Phil. And you were talking about the weather a little earlier. I can confirm it is freezing down here. Hey, Tom Tapara sitting on pole position. It's been some tricky conditions for you guys already this weekend.
Yeah, it's been quite annoying really, because we haven't really done that much track time this weekend, honestly. So yeah, it's sort of funny one now because no one's really, has a perfect setup, and the conditions are really, really cold, probably coldest it's been all weekend. So it's a bit of an unknown for everybody, but hopefully I can just, getting towards the end of the championship, I just need to keep it up right firstly, and just hopefully score as many points as I can.
Good luck.
Thanks, Emma.
Okay, from the guy sitting on pole position, we'll go over to the guy sitting in second. And Nick Limington, so far so good, but just lacking in track time for you at the moment.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate on Friday, just the conditions were so bad, I just didn't get to go out, so very low on track time at the moment. But the race should be good. I know Tom has great race pace, but hopefully we can just stay with him and see if we can get a good result.
You have gotten him once before, so can you do it again for this race?
Hopefully again.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll head over to the guy who's always smiling, always giving a thumbs up, always happy. Reid Batty, you've had a pretty good weekend so far, starting from third. Got to be happy with that?
Yeah, it's been a good weekend so far. First race now, the weather's looking good, so I'm pretty happy about that. But we're working really good around here with the Team Suzuki bike, so hopefully in the race we can get a good result.
They're telling us there might be quite a bit of rain around for race number 2. Should make things pretty interesting.
Yeah, it should do. I haven't been in the wet yet, so it's always a learning curve, especially the first time on a 600 around in the wet. But we'll see what we can do. I know how to ride in the wet, so hopefully we'll have a fun race.
Go well. Hey guys, we're going to take a walk further down at the grid. Back up to you for now.
Yeah, thanks very much, Emma. Great to hear from the top 3 on the front row of the grid there. Reid Batty, there's been a lot of talk so far about Steve Martin in 2019, how fast Ollie Bayliss is as a newcomer to the Supersport class. With a name like Bayliss, we'd probably expect that. A lot of people may have forgotten that Reid Batty, because he's been continually running at the front, he is also a Supersport rookie, and an extremely impressive year from that young man also.
You absolutely stole my thunder, because I was just thinking the same thing. It's a very impressive run that Reid Batty's had. He's sort of like been just quietly working away in the background there, but getting the results. He's always there and doing such a great job. Let's head back down to Emma.
Hey, Reece, starting a little bit further back at the grid, what's your strategy when you are starting from 15th position?
Today's, I think, is going to be just about lapping in a consistent pace at this track. It's been problematic for me in the past with a few stacks and whatnot, getting taken out in turn 1 and doing it to somebody else, but hopefully just settling with a couple of the quicker guys up ahead and see how we end up at the end of the race.
Now, more importantly, a bit of announcement for you all. This is beautiful fiancée Stacey. Congratulations, guys. I asked him a little bit earlier, when did you do it, or how? He can't remember. So give us some details.
It was behind a waterfall in a town called Lauterbrunnen in Switzerland. So one of our favourite places to go when we're overseas.
Was very romantic.
Yeah.
Very. He did well.
Congrats, guys. The future Mr. and Mrs. Belling. Boys?
Thanks very much, Emma, and congratulations to the Bellings. Well, not quite the Bellings yet, but it will be very soon. And Reece has been having a relatively good weekend here this weekend as well, and also a long-time campaigner in the Motorsports TV Supersport class.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't qualified that well, but I tell you what, Phil, do not let that fool you, because he is the type of guy that when he gets his race face on, he can be up near the front. We've seen it before, and a little bit of work cut out for him, but I'll tell you what, once he gets a few laps under his belt, expect something from him. Let's head back down to Emma.
Avalon, but it'll take us through your weekend so far because, once again, first time at this track.
Yeah, it's been pretty challenging with the weather on Friday. We missed out on a lot of practice. So just taking it step by step from yesterday morning and qualifying and improving every time. So it's been good fun.
Obviously, to track like this, the start is crucial.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, I'm in a good spot here on the grid up the inside. So that's my plan of attack for turn 1 and we'll see how it goes.
Go get him. Good luck.
Thank you.
Another rider that you would have to be very impressed with so far in 2019. Made her debut in the championship at round 3 at the Ben Motorsport Park. Was there again at Morgan Park for round 4 and continues on. And hopefully we'll see her at the rest of the rounds of the championship. But the reigning New Zealand Supersport champion has been doing a great job. There's been a lot of Kiwis here this weekend. Steve Martin caught up with some of them.
There are plenty of faces in the ASBK paddock that you might just walk past or not recognise. This could be one of those faces. But Stuart Vant has got a story that I want to tell you about. He comes from New Zealand. He got his break racing against Agostini here at Laverton quite a few years ago. And from that point on, he's made quite an impact on the motorsport world. Stuart, firstly, you now live in Australia. I know you live up in Sydney. You're good friends with Kevin McGee. But you have got a bit of a story. You nearly beat Agostini.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we raced against Agostini, and it was quite something to do down here in Laverton, but Kenny Blake won, and Kenny was a good guy. That worked out okay. And 6 months later, we were in Salzburg and bet him on the last lap, and to end up 5th in a Grand Prix beating Agostini was quite an achievement for me as a child, and a young guy as 20. Not young compared to what's around here with these 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds, but at the time it was quite good. And then I had a decent stint in Europe for about 7 or 8 years.
It must have been quite a challenge back in those days. I mean, unbelievable to be riding a 500 Grand Prix bike against some of the guys that you were riding against, Kenny Roberts and all those guys.
Yeah, I think we had a real good grounding then. And if you went to Europe from here and you had an RG 500 or something, which is a really good race bike, we were actually quick when we got there, whereas the young guys go there today and there's a real disparity between riding a 300 Ninja and a Moto 3 bike, whereas we were actually quite experienced. We had great Australians, the Warren Willings, and we had mechanics like Mike Sinclair, the best in the world, were around us and became the best in the world. And we had really good equipment, but it was hard. We slept like everyone else in their trucks with our leathers on in the snow and ice and freezing cold and begging and stealing to get by, but it was a grand time and I wouldn't have replaced it for anything.
Well, thank you very much for everything you've done for the sport, Stu. You've had a great career, and bringing Avalon Biddle here is fantastic stuff.
Yeah, what a great mentor for Avalon Biddle as the riders head off on their warm-up lap before Motorsport TV race gets underway. The first of the Motorsport TV Supersport races for today. As we mentioned, Tom Taparis, our championship leader by 61 points. Starts from pole position from Nick Leamington and Reed Batty, who's had 3 podiums this year as well. Brock Pearson will start out of row number 2 with Ollie Bayliss and Ty Lynch. And row 3 will be one of the very most experienced campaigners in this class, Chris Quinn, ahead of Jack Hyde and young Dallas Skier from South Australia on board a Suzuki GSXR. Row 4 in position number 10 will be Richie Dibbon, Aidan Hayes and Avalon Biddle. Row 5 will be Chandler Cooper, Jack Passfield and Reece Belling. And the 16 bike field rounded out by bike number 23, Ryan Selling, having his first run in the Motorsports TV Supersport Class 4 2019. Well, so far this year it has been Tom Taparis that has taken 9 wins. In fact, the only race that he hasn't won was the one race that was won by Nick Leamington at the Ben Motorsport Park in front of his home crowd. And so Tom Taparis leads the championship by 60 points coming into this round, and he took the extra point for pole position to make that a 61-point buffer. To win the championship here at this round, he would need to finish the round 102 points ahead of the rest of the field. The way that Nick Leamington and Brock Pearson, Ollie Bayliss and Reed Batty have been riding this weekend, I think that's going to be a pretty big ask. But Tom Taparis heads off after this round back overseas to complete his duties in the BSB and also the German IDM Supersport Championships before he comes back to the next round of the championship at Phillip Island in a few weeks' time to close out the season here in Australia. But Steve Martin, they're heading up down to take up their positions on the grid. It's all about the start here this weekend at this very tricky Winton circuit.
It certainly is. The run into turn one, not that long, so it's really imperative. It is a difficult track to pass on, so passes will be hard and fast.
Well, riders now pulling into their final positions on the grid. Taparis leads the championship, starts from pole position. Nick Limington out of second position. Reid Batty in third. The red flag leaves the front of the grid. The revs start to rise. The bikes are in gear. We're ready to go for Motorsports TV as we're in the starters' hands, and they're away. Great start from Tom Taparis. Great start from Reid Batty as well on board the Suzuki. The Suzuki always gets a great start. He's down the inside. He's into the lead. Reid Batty on board bike number 33. Tom Taparis tries to come around the outside. There's contact as they come through.
There's a big one.
Reid Batty went down on the way out of the corner, and it looked like he's collected a couple of other riders as well. I think that's Nick Limington that's down as well, and he's at Nick Limington's bike that is lying in the middle of the track.
I'm not sure that's Nick Limington. We're going to have to wait and see. That doesn't look like Nick's leathers. Oh, okay, there. Yes, it is Nick Limington who has gone down. We've got a 3-rider down in this one. Nick's bike is smoke in the middle of the track. One of the riders down is number 28. We've got a red flag situation here.
Yeah, there's a bike lying in the middle of the track. The officials had no opportunity to do anything other than...
Jack Hyde, that is there. He's one of the riders that's gone down.
So here's Nick Limington going down the inside. Tom Taparis comes back up the inside.
Watch Reid Batty. Reid Batty's lost the rear. And it's Reid Batty lost the rear there, and it's just come round on him.
But he was out wide on the dirty part of the track there, Steve. Got on the gas, and unfortunately he just lost the bike. And I'd say he's collected Nick on the way when he came back across the track.
Yeah, look, here we go. Watch it from this angle. His bike shot straight across in front of everyone. There wasn't much that anyone could do there.
Ty Lynch did a great job to try and avoid that carnage. And look, a massive flat tyre there. That's what the problem was for bike number 28.
It's Hyde.
Jack Hyde. Yeah, he didn't actually get involved in the crash, but he must have picked up some debris.
Well, he probably did run across some of the debris that's come off some of the bikes. So Jack Hyde lucky to get away with that. And I'll tell you what, it's looking like all of the riders seem to be okay. So all of the riders are up and about, which is really good to see. So there'll be some debris being cleaned up there.
Well, while the bikes come back to the grid and the officials clean up the track, we'll have a short break here from Winton and come back with Motorsports TV Supersport.
We might have a bit of a break up here, and while we
We are the innovators, the specialists, the ones who power the wheels of progress. Extraordinary innovation for on-road and off-road terrain. Estacore technology for improved engine protection and performance. We are going a step beyond to a new generation of motor oils. This is the vision of innovation. The new 300V squared.
Welcome to the track. Welcome to the proving grounds. Welcome to the streets. Welcome to the concrete battleground. To run the streets, it takes swagger and an unapologetic attitude. To rule the track, it takes precision and lightning-fast reflexes. To rule the track and run the streets, it takes fearless instincts.
And welcome back to Winton, round 5 of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship. We were underway with Motorsports TV, but we've seen a big crash on the exit of the Spokes Corner turn 2 in the first lap of the race. You could see there as they got off the line, Reid Batty got a great start. Tom Taparis came down the inside. Batty went wide, got on the throttle very early and was out on the dirty part of the track. Ran wide, got lost the back end, went back into the middle of the track, hit Nick Leamington there, whose bike ended up in the middle of the track. You could see Reid Batty's legs up there in the middle of the air. And Richie Dibben on board bike number 119 was also involved in that issue there. You could see his Suzuki sliding across the track. And also bike number 28 was also looked like he had a bit of a flat tyre there, Steve. A bit of debris on the track. Let's head down to Emma on the grid because she's with the riders there. Who saw what?
Yeah, guys, it's never really nice to see. Brock Pearson saw it and missed it. Can you take us through your point of view?
Yeah, this track's always a bit of carnage going into turn 1, and it was pretty clear that Reid tried to get into the lead and into turn 2. Tom got us up his inside and Reid got a bit out on the outside, and I guess it's a bit slippery. He tried to get on the gas and he had a pretty big high side, and I think that was just the start of it. You know, there's a few guys that obviously got collected there, but this track's cold and that's what happens when you go offline, but I hope they're all good.
Yeah, we never want to see accidents, but if you look ahead of you now, you've got a very clear left side of the track.
Yeah, I think this race is so important for the championship with those two guys out of it. For now, we need to be smart and try and latch on to Tom in this race and take it one step at a time because, yeah, this race is really important now.
Take it easy. Thanks, mate. We'll check in with Ollie Bayliss as well because I believe that Ollie Bayliss saw the incident. How did it all play out from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I got probably one of the worst starts I've had this year and I was sort of back in 6th and I decided to go up the inside of a few of the other riders coming out of turn 2 and I saw Reid have a massive high side and I think other than that Nick must have hit him and then the two riders behind me must have as well. But yeah, my thoughts are with them and I hope they're all good.
Take it easy. Best of luck. Boys.
Yeah, thanks very much, Emma. And it was an interesting point there that was made by Brock Pearson that he's got to be smart in this race. Coming into this race, he was only 12 points behind Nick Leamington for second place in the championship. So with Nick Leamington out of this race, a good finish here from Brock Pearson could find him up into second place in the Motorsports TV Championship. Unfortunate for Nick Leamington and also Reid Batty, who have both proven this weekend to be incredibly fast and were looking for some strong performances.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's in the box seat now to take over that second position in the championship. So let's hope that he can. But it brings to the point we have had a lot of rain this weekend, so there's not as much rubber down on the track as we're used to at the Winton circuit here. So these guys, when they do get offline, it is going to be slippery. Let's head back down to M.
Ty Lynch saw it as well. You just managed to avoid it?
Yeah, just narrowly missed to avoid it. It was lucky. It was lucky. It's really unfortunate to see it happen, but obviously paintwork's still really slippery, and it was just an unfortunate racing incident. So, yeah, it was lucky just to miss him though.
Accident aside, how has your weekend been so far?
Look, considering the amount of bike time we've had, we've just consolidated, used the time that we've had to progress the bike, which is the main aim, and yeah, everything's looking pretty good so far, yeah.
Go get him.
Cheers.
Yeah, Ty Lynch has been having a pretty strong weekend here as well and looking quite resplendent in his Recondi leathers down on the grid. And they're doing a good job on board his Yamaha. Painted up in the same team colours as Ollie Bayliss as well.
Yeah, it's good to see the young South Australian. He dips between his road racing and dirt tracking, but this year he's had a pretty strong performance there. You can see Jack Hyde's bike, I think that is heading back to the circuit to number 119.
That's Richie Dibben's bike.
Sorry, Richie Dibben. Yeah, Jack Hyde was on 28. He had the flat tyre, so doesn't look like he'll be able to take part in this restart, unfortunately.
But Jack Hyde should be able to, because he wouldn't have been the cause of the red flag. And if they can get that tyre fixed, but then again, Steve, marked tyres could be a bit of issue. Back down to M.
Managed to miss that incident. Hey, it's a tough track, Winton. You haven't had a lot of track time here either.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, especially the surface. Being very cold, it's easy to lose front or rear, and that's exactly what happened then. So yeah, happy that we avoided it, and hopefully we can have this restart and go from there.
Go well.
Thanks.
Well, great to hear from Dallas Skier there, and with Reid Batty out, he would now be the leading Suzuki in the out there on the grid on board bike number 86, the bike from South Australia, Steve, and doing a pretty good job, Dallas. He's gone from being, you know, a top 15 kind of rider in the last year or so to consistently challenging inside the top 10.
Yeah, it was good qualifying for him. Qualified on the third row of the grid with a 125.7. I'll tell you what, if he just managed to find a few more tenths, he would have been right up onto the second row of the grid. So Dallas Skier, no slouch in 2019.
Well, his best finish of fifth. He actually had 2 fifth-place finishes at the Ben Motorsport Park, his home round as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's good to see him out there in what is going to be a different battle. I mean, we've got people out there like Avalon Biddle, who doesn't know the track that well. She's missed out on a lot of track time due to the wet weather conditions that we've seen. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Tommy Taparis, he doesn't need this either, does he? He just wants a nice, clean run this weekend, because he is getting on a plane tomorrow, so he doesn't want to be involved in anyone's accident. He just wants to keep it clean throughout the weekend and get some good results. Let's head back down to M.
Down here with Aidan Hayes. Hey, Winton Motor Raceway, when this track bites, it bites hard.
Oh, it certainly does. I mean, the grip level is nowhere near it is on some of the other tracks, and unfortunately it's caught a few people out. I think the cold temperatures are really letting us down.
Starting a little further back, or restarting a little further back, what is your strategy?
Hopefully I can get a good jump off the line, because I don't want to get caught in any kind of carnage like that, and just all the best for the guys that did go down.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, Aidan Hayes had an extremely strong start to the year, didn't he, Steve Martin, down there at Phillip Island, a couple of sixth-place finishes. The last couple of rounds haven't been as good for him. Just managed to crack the top 10 at Morgan Park for the last round. In fact, he qualified 10th and was 10th in both of the races. Probably not what we would have expected at Morgan Park, because he's been having such a strong year so far.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a resurgence this year. He drifted off the seam last year a little bit, but he's back and he's strong now. And he also competed in the Victorian Road Racing Championships at Phillip Island a couple of weeks ago, where young Ollie Bayliss was, and I think Jack Passfield as well. And they had a massive race together for the win there. So it was a good result. Let's head back down to Emma. I think she's with Crew.
Yeah, found Crew watching on. Hey, a massive day ahead for you, and a bit of rain forecast too. Should make things interesting.
Yeah, I've been watching that. Hopefully that stays away. You sort of want two dry races for us, but we're just going to take it as it comes. But just out here watching the 600 races, hopefully Tommy can get the job done and get done for Yamaha. But yeah, it's always come down, watch a start, and sort of try to prepare for my first race.
Good luck.
Thank you.
How 12 months have changed things around for Crew Halliday, because 12 months ago he wouldn't have been wishing for the best for Tom Taparis, would he, Steve Martin? Because they were essentially head-to-head battling it out for the Supersport Championship.
Well, I guess if you want to say 12 months ago, he was the man, wasn't he?
Certainly is, and in 12 months later it is Tom Taparis that's the man. He leads the championship on 249 points. That point for pole position has just taken him 61 points clear of Nick Leamington, who unfortunately won't be in that restart. Brock Pearson is only 12 points further back from Nick Leamington in third place. Then it's Ollie Bayliss and Reid Batty, the two Supersport rookies in 2019 in fourth and fifth position. Aidan Hayes, who we just heard from on the grid, in sixth. Dallas Skier as well, we heard from down there on the grid, in seventh. Callum Spriggs, who has only raced chosen rounds but been strong in every one of them, in eighth. Chris Quinn in eighth, and Jack Passfield rounds out the top 10. But 249 points for Tom Taparis. It's been an extremely strong year, but he's riding more comfortable than ever, looking very, very good out there on the track. Back down on the grid to Emma.
Some really big news broke this week in the ASBK paddock, so I thought I'd check in with Peter Doyle, the CEO of Motorcycling Australia. Really exciting to see that we will be a part of Supercars round next year in a 2+4 extravaganza.
Yeah, good to... pretty exciting for us. We, especially the way it came about. Neil Crompton actually just rang up and we're having a bit of a general chit chat, and they said it'd be great to see the bikes and the cars get back together like we used to do back in the 80s and the 90s. We did a number of rounds with the V8, so they were good back then, but the new people running supercars have been absolutely a pleasure in dealing with us, and hopefully we can make a good show of it.
Really looking forward to it. But let's just mention 80s and 90s. I mean, you've been a part of it all, PD, so you must be really proud to have seen the championship grow so much over the time.
Oh, it's great to get it back from where it was back in 2014-15. It was there wasn't much left, so yeah, we're all pretty happy. But you know, it's never ending, so we can only keep working on it.
Thanks. Excited for 2020.
Okay, thanks.
Great job by Motorcycling Australia to continue to advance motorcycle racing in this country. But Steve Martin, it's not just about road racing, is it? Motorcycling Australia has a broad umbrella across all forms of motorcycle racing. The colour of events shows that coming up is the Australian Junior Road Racing Championships Round 5 from the Ben Motorsport Park on the 13th to the 15th of September. The Yamaha Australia Off-Road Championships Round 10 and 11 on the 14th and 15th of September, and the Australian ATV Motocross Nationals on the 21st and 22nd of September from Canberra in the ACT. For more information, go to allthewsma.org.au. Well, before we get ready for Motorsports TV Supersport resumption, down to Emma in the Medical Centre.
Yeah, just getting an update with Nick Leamington. Good to see that you are A-OK, mate.
Yeah, all fine. Just got a bit of an average start there, got behind Reed, and he had a big moment, came off. I just had nowhere to go. Ended up in the back of him. Yeah, not really sure what happened after that, but I'm A-OK. Hopefully be back in the next race.
Take it easy. Thanks.
Thanks, Emma.
Looking pretty calm in the medical centre there was Nick Leamington.
Well, that's what you got to do when you have a moment like that, and that's what these guys are like as they start to head off now. They you really do have to just get on with the job, and that's what makes them the type of guys they are. It's a special type of person that can race one of these motorcycles around the circuit at high speed, have a crash like that and want to get back out on track. But as you can see, they're all back out there again, the ones that can, and you saw Brock Pearson just pulling off, doing his usual, wanting to finish last on the warm-up lap.
Yeah, making sure he's the last one back to the grid. Hopefully his tyres are the warmest as they head off on the run down into the Spokes S's, turns 1 and 2. We said before the start of the Motorsport TV Supersport race that it was all about the start and how important the run through turns 1 and 2 were. And we were just proven right, Steve Martin, because once again, if you're in the lead and you haven't got anyone behind you, there's a good chance that if there is any carnage, that you're not going to be involved in it.
Well, absolutely. Also, lessons to be learnt there. You know, cold temperatures, cold track here at Winton this weekend. You need to let these tyres warm up for a couple of laps before you start doing anything heroic.
And also out there on the dirty part of the track that you spoke about in your track preview, about making sure that you stay on the right line as the riders make their way down through the AGV corner, down this new section of the Winton Motor Raceway circuit, through MA corner, and then around through the final corner and out onto the Motul Pirelli front straight. Take up their positions on the grid, and we'll be ready to get underway racing for the second leg of the first race for Motorsports TV Supersport.
The race has been reduced to 12 laps as well, so a little bit shortened, but still 12 laps around this Winton circuit is a pretty long way to go.
An extremely physical affair on board these Supersport machines. The lone starter on the front row of the grid will now be Tom Taparis. Back on the second row of the grid, Ty Lynch, Ollie Bayliss and Brock Pearson. And Brock Pearson with a very good chance now to move up to second in the overall Motorsports TV Championship. It's one of the officials there looking at to make sure that everything was okay with that bike back there on the grid. But looks like everything is in store now, Steve Martin. We're ready to go racing. Motorsports TV Supersport race number 1, 12 laps the duration. Red flag still at the front of the grid. So just a slight delay there. Looks like they're still looking at one of the... No, we've got a green flag at the back of the grid. A red flag leaves the front of the grid. We're ready to go racing. The bikes are in gear. The revs rise. In the starter's hands, the lights are on. Great start there from Tom Taparis. Great start too from Brock Pearson. And also Ty Lynch looks like he's got a cracking start on board bike number 85. And he's right on the tail of Brock Pearson. One ran wide as they went into the Spokes S's, but it is everybody through turn 1 and turn 2 safely on this second occasion, with Taparis leading, Pearson in second, and the two underground designed livery machines in third and fourth.
Looks like Ollie Bayliss there trying to make a move up the inside too of Ty Lynch. So Ollie Bayliss keen to get onto the coattails of Tom Taparis, who got another perfect start, something that we've seen him do so many times this year.
Looked like a pretty fair start too for Avalon Biddle on board bike number 51. Keep an eye on her, the reigning New Zealand Supersport champion, having another visit over here as Aidan Hayes has a big dive up the inside of Dallas Skier to move one further position forward just before they start the tricky run through the S's, as you mentioned in your track preview, Steve Martin. It's a little bit deceptive through there, isn't it? It's fast, but you've got to be online.
You certainly do. You really do have to be online, especially coming onto this back straight as you head down into the AGV braking area. Tom Taparis gets it perfect with Brock Pearson doing everything that he needs to do to take over that second position in the championship. I'll tell you one person that won't be liking to watch this race, that is Nick Limington, but up the inside goes
Ollie Bayliss.
Ollie Bayliss. What a great move there by Ollie. He's not mucking around. He's spent a lot of time on that 600 since the last race. A few tests and also races at Phillip Island. We mentioned that before. So he's getting a lot more experience. Remember, he's still only 15 years old.
Well, he's the youngest ever rider to podium in the Australian Supersport Championship due to the change of rules this year to allow suitably experienced riders of 15 years of age to step up to the 600cc category. And he was starting to get a little bit physically too big for the Supersport 300, and he's looking more and more at home every time he jumps on board the Glenn Richards prepared Cube Racing Yamaha YZF R6, and he's closed in on the back of Brock Pearson extremely quickly. And Brock Pearson is a young rider with a lot of overseas experience who's come back from some extremely nasty injuries to now be a consistent front runner at the front of this championship.
Yeah, he certainly is, but he's coming under pressure now. When I'm watching Ollie Bayliss on the back of him there, you can just see that he can take tighter lines. He was tighter around the sweeper. He's certainly looking for a way past. He's taken a wider line on the back straight as well, and that's normally the right line to get a good drive to make an overtaking manoeuvre into the AGV corner.
Well, you mentioned about Ollie Bayliss competing in the Victorian Road Racing Championships last weekend at Phillip Island. An extremely successful weekend it was for him. The best way to test for a motorcycle race is to actually go motorcycle racing, and that's exactly what he's done now as he takes the advantage through MA corner, getting up the inside of Brock Pearson on board bike number 17. So it's Bayliss on 68 making his way up into second position. It was an extremely successful weekend for him because he also won the Huey Hoare Trophy, a very long-standing trophy that's been contested in Victorian motorsport.
Yeah, it's a great one to have in the trophy cabinet at home. I'm sure his dad's got plenty of trophies, but Ollie Bayliss is racking them up too.
Good battle developing there between Dallas Skier and Avalon Biddle. Skier on 86, Biddle on 51. Look at the corner entry speed there from Avalon Biddle. Been working with Jeff Dillon and the crew in the Cube Racing garage to prepare that Yamaha R6, and it's great to see the multitude of Kiwis over here competing this weekend, including Damon Rees in the Superbike class.
Avalon Biddle's only going to get faster lap after lap. Remember, we've had a lot of wet weather this weekend. She's never been to this Winton circuit before. Come over here, got onto the Yamaha, which she's had to learn as well. And, you know, it's difficult for her. But a big kudos. We heard from Stuart Vunt earlier on. This is all Stuart Vunt's doing, of course, putting the team together and bringing Avalon Biddle over here to let her gain more experience in the Australian Superbike Championship. Let's not forget, she certainly knows how to ride because she's the current New Zealand 600 Supersport champion.
That's right, as they make their way through the AGV corner and up the back straight towards MA corner. It is Avalon Biddle having a bit of a look up the inside of Dallas Skier. I don't think she could quite get the R6 up the inside of Dallas Skier's Suzuki GSX-R. It's Tom Taparis that still leads. His lead now is out to 0.4 of a second. In fact, it's being started to be mowed down by Ollie Bayliss because at the start of that lap, Tom Taparis was nearly 1 second ahead. And look at Ollie Bayliss now closing in on the back of his former teammate. These two are actually pretty good friends, and they raced together in the same team a couple of years ago. But in 2019, Steve Martin, is the first time they've actually come head-to-head together with each other on the track.
Well, Ollie Bayliss may as well not have turned up and done practice because his first flying lap of the race was 1 second quicker than his qualifying pace. Bayliss is on an absolute mission.
It's funny.
We've said that a million times, but not with the young one. He's really riding out of his skin at the moment, is young Ollie Bayliss, to hold back or catch a rider of the calibre of this man, but he's run a little wide. He's got a problem there.
You can see there the head went down. He was he knew. I think he might have even had a false neutral.
Yeah,
or something
there's something wrong with his bike. There's something wrong.
Oh no, that's a disaster for Ollie Bayliss as he was on the pace and looking to really start to challenge Tom Taparis. There's some problem with the Cube Racing prepared machine.
It's not running. I reckon that
that may be what caused him to run wide, because the bike must have conked out. And
I don't know. It could be anything. He's looking down at the side. First thing you do is look to see if there's a chain on it.
Yep, there's a chain on it, so I'm not sure what the problem is.
You
We'll
have
a look at the replay.
He's gone through here. Everything's good at this point.
And it was here where he went to get on the gas and then turn in the change of direction.
Yeah, he knew there. It's lost engine power.
Something has gone wrong on the entry into the Kawasaki corner. And unfortunately, that means the end of the race for Ollie Bayliss. So certainly a race of attrition here. We've only got now, I think, 10 riders that are still managing to circulate around in this first of the Motorsports TV Supersport races. Interesting battle here between Aidan Hayes, Avalon Biddle, and also Dallas Skier.
Yeah, good ride there by Aidan Hayes. Once again, he's hasn't been in this class that long. Started off quite a couple of years ago now. In 2015, he started road racing on an R3, I think it was back then. He's moved up to the 600 class, ridden Kawasaki. Now he's on the new Yamaha, rode Yamaha for a while. Now he's on the new Yamaha again in his distinctive colour scheme there. Definitely a young rider on a rise.
Aidan Hayes will be very happy that you've called him a young rider.
Well, he is pretty young.
In this class, he's one of the elder statesmen, but still a lot younger than us, Steve Martin.
Absolutely. YRD supported as well. Good to see Yamaha pumping a lot of money into these 600 riders in this championship.
As they have done for many, many years, to be fair to Yamaha YRD. It's not just a recent thing. They've always been a very strong supporter of riders in the Supersport class through Yamaha YRD, Yamaha Racing Development. As Dallas Skier has shown a good turn of pace. Just having a look at the... I was going to say, I think his last lap might have been his fastest one at 1:25.401. That's only 0.9 seconds slower than our race leader, Tom Taparis, with a 1:24. The fastest man in the race so far, I think you'll find, would be Tom Taparis with that 1:24.283.
Yeah, he's definitely on a bit of a mission at the moment, is Tom Taparis. He's got this in hand. It's going to be his race to lose in reality. And sometimes when you're out there in front on your own, that's when things go wrong. Let's head down to Emma.
Troy Bayliss, wow, such a shame because Ollie was showing some great pace.
Yeah, Emma, you can see the bad side of it, but I see the good side of it. He's taken another step and he was bringing it up to Tommy then. He'd gone like nearly half a second faster than he even did here at the test. We tried a few things this morning, so we've been waiting for that last little step for him to kick in, and I think it just happened. But on the downside, something's happened out there, and he's going to be very disappointed. But in the long run, I think something good come out of it.
Better luck for the next one. Thanks, Troy.
No worries, thank you.
Well pointed out by Troy Bayliss there, because we were noticing exactly the same thing, weren't we, Steve Martin? You called it, that he may as well not have turned up for practice because it was his fastest lap. Well, from Troy Bayliss, that includes the test.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, a second a lap quicker on the first flying lap, so impressive as. But look at Avalon Biddle now. She's making a decisive move up the inside. Can't do it. She runs wide, manages to hold it on.
Well, she did well to get the bike stopped and turned and made it through the Stokes S's, but to be quite honest, she wouldn't have been the first person to run it into turn 1 too deep and have to go across the grass there.
No, well, she is learning. She needs to learn where the overtaking spots are on this circuit. You can just see now, here's a replay of that instant. She's got great speed, gets on the brakes, back's moving around a little bit there, just quite doesn't commit to the tip in, managed to pull it up nicely. She's got all that work to do again to catch up to Aidan Hayes, but another lesson learned for Avalon Biddle. Watch out in race 2 for her.
Looking now at Jack Passfield on board bike number 42 and Chris Quinn on bike number 82. Chris Quinn would be probably the oldest rider in this class on board the Holmes Extractive Resources Cooper's Pale Ale machine. Bike number 82 has been racing Supersport in the Supersport class, Steve Martin, for it would have to be over 10 years now.
Yeah, it has been a while, but I'll tell you what, his lap times that he's doing there, if he'd managed to get a better start, like he's in the 25s, high 25s, but Brock Pearson is in the 25s, so he's actually doing a pretty good pace. If he can work on his starts, he can be somewhere up there. In fact, his last lap was his quickest lap of the race so far. So Chris Quinn definitely coming to grips with this circuit.
Jack Passfield on board bike number 42 was another rider that was racing the Victorian Road Race Championships last weekend at Phillip Island and was having a good battle with Ollie Bayliss in those Supersport races down there. This weekend, he's got his hands full with Chris Quinn on board bike number 82 trying to hold him off, and also Reece Belling on board bike number 61. We heard from on the grid, the recently engaged Reece Belling is also looking like he's starting to close in on those riders in front.
Yeah, absolutely. And while you were talking, Chris Quinn, here's a replay of it. This could be Avalon Biddle that we're looking at here, but Chris Quinn, no, here we go. Up the inside he goes, a great overtake into the YMF corner there. Not easy to do there. It's a little bit off camber, manages to pull it off. But he is the sort of rider that gets more confident lap after lap, Chris Quinn. I guess because he probably doesn't do as many laps as the other guys.
No, he might not have spent as much time on track, and of course where he lives in Lismore in northwestern New South Wales as well, there's not an abundance of racetracks in close proximity. I think Morgan Park is actually the closest track that he's got, and it's even still a fair few hours drive away. Even getting now past Jack Passfield has been able to pull out a fair few bike lengths distance over the rider on board bike number 42. As we've come around, we've completed 8 laps, or our leader has completed 8 laps of this 12-lap journey. Brock Pearson comes across the line in second place. He's currently 4.8 seconds behind our race leader, Tom Taparis, sporting the new helmet design here this weekend.
Now, Tom Taparis is heading overseas tomorrow. He's getting on a plane, isn't he? Heading to Aston and riding for the Tenkate team, I think, in the BSB Championship.
Yes, making his debut in the BSB Championship. As we know, it heads to Aston as one of the final rounds of the championship. It has done for quite a few years now, and the Tenkate team, who are no strangers to World Supersport, are entering a bike in the British Superbike Championship, with their now tie-up with Yamaha, like they race in the World Superbike Championships with Loris Baz. And Tom Taparis, after really making a name for himself this year in the German IDM Supersport Championship, has been selected to ride that machine. And you can see Tom there pushing the bike and looking extremely comfortable at pushing that bike to its limit.
Well, absolutely. That is his forte. He looks fast, but he's always smooth. He can look after his tyres. He can keep those lap times consistent from the start of the race to the end of the race. Not easy to do on a track like this, because this is a track where you need to have good edge grip all the time. You're always on the side of the tyre here. It's not like, some of the tracks that we go to with long straights where the tyre gets a chance to cool down. You don't get much rest here at the Winton circuit.
Well, Brock Pearson doing a great job there. You can see him on board bike number 17. Debuted this new livery at the last round at Morgan Park, and I've got to say the bike is looking absolutely sensational. And sitting there in third place at the moment would be Ty Lynch on board bike number 85. I think you'll find that will be Ty Lynch's first ever podium in the Motorsports TV Championship on board bike number 85.
Yeah, this is a good result for Ty Lynch. I mean, he's another guy. He's been in and around this championship, riding 600 now for a couple of years. Started in the 300s, raced in the R3 Cup as well. Pearson, is he slowing down a little bit there? No, he's okay. Just took a bit of a wide entry into the S's up the back there into the YMF corner.
Extremely tall, skinny rider is Brock Pearson. You can see him almost having to origami himself onto the Yamaha R6. Certainly makes it look incredibly small, does Brock Pearson. But he'd have to be about 6'2", wouldn't he, Brock Pearson?
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, he's pretty skinny, as you say. He's not much of him. He gets himself onto that R6 and he moulds himself into it. And you've got to think that he's thinking in the back of his mind now with two of the riders that are close to him in the championship out of action for this race, that he could be moving himself up into a handy second position, which would be pretty nice.
And this will be Brock Pearson's fifth podium for the 2019 season as well. Good to see the rider on bike number 28, Jack Hyde, get back out there after that flat tyre. Possibly caused by debris in that incident on the exit of turn 2 in the first restart. Oh, is that Chandler Cooper getting it all wrong there down into that corner, running incredibly wide. And I think you'll find that Jack Hyde would have been able to move up one position and cement himself inside the top 10 with only a couple of laps to go in this first Motorsports TV race for today, Motorsports TV Supersport race for today.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Chandler Cooper much, but good to see him back in Australia and racing in the 600 Supersport Championship here, at least here at Winton. Of course, he raced in the Spanish Championship for quite a few years, and he's made his way back here now to be part of our championship.
Down to M.
Just wanted to update you quickly on Reid Batty. No injuries, thankfully. A bit of a sore back and absolutely devastated, as you can imagine. He's hoping to get out for the next one.
Yep, thanks very much, Em. Great to hear that Reed Batty is okay as Aiden Hayes takes advantage of Dallas Skier running wide there. Hopefully Reed Batty will be able to get back out and compete in that second Motorsports TV Supersport race this afternoon. But in his absence, well, Suzuki Honour is being upheld by this man, Dallas Skier, on board bike number 86. Doing a pretty good job at trying to hold off Aiden Hayes for a majority of this race, but unfortunately just got it a little bit too late on the brakes into the corner that you made a point of pointing out, Steve Martin, that it's a corner where there is an overtaking opportunity down there into AGV corner.
So easy to make mistakes on that corner, but you can see Dallas Skier now up the inside, almost on the bottom, makes a nice clean move, not much room there, but manages to put himself back in front of Aiden Hayes. So the number 86, man on the Suzuki, takes advantage over Aiden Hayes. Unfortunately for Hayden, but he will have the fight of his hands. We know that he's not a guy that will give up. Look at both of those guys through the Suzuki S's heading into YMF top end of the circuit there.
Well, if Dallas Skier can hold on to this position ahead of Aiden Hayes, it will be his best finish in the 2019 Motorsports TV Supersport Championship. He's currently sitting in 4th place. Aiden Hayes in 5th. And just looking at Aiden Hayes' year so far, that 5th place would actually be his best finish of the year by one position. That was 6th place at race 1 at Wakefield Park earlier on this year for Aiden Hayes. But no problems for this man here. Tom Taparis lofts the front wheel, comes round to take the checkered flag, and he will take another victory. That will make it 10 victories for Tom Taparis in 2019. As the battle for 4th place is on in earnest now, with Brock Pearson taking 2nd, Ty Lynch claiming 3rd, and Dallas Skier just gets the better of Aiden Hayes in the battle for 4th place. Both of those riders scoring their best championship position for 2019.
Yeah, what a great race, and what a great race for Ty Lynch. While the others have been on the podium, this will be a big confidence booster for him, the young South Australian, doing a brilliant job staying out of trouble and getting his first podium. I can't wait to hear what he's got to say.
Well, Tom Taparis' eventual winning margin 5.7 seconds, but it was out to nearly 6.5 seconds through that final lap. He backed it off and celebrated with a very nice wheel stand across the line to take the victory. His 10th for the year, as we mentioned, and extend his championship lead over the luckless Nick Leamington, who was involved in that big incident on the exit of Turn 2 in the first running of Motorsports TV race number 1.
Yeah, good to hear that all of those riders are okay. But Brock Pearson, once again, another controlled ride. Is that his 5th or 6th podium of the year that he's got now?
Brock Pearson's 5th podium for the year, and he'll be very happy with that as well. And equals his best performances at Wakefield Park earlier on this year, where he qualified in 2nd and finished 2nd in both races. Let's have a look at the highlights of Motorsports TV, including this very hectic first running. It was a great start off the line for Tom Taparis, but Reed Batty, we called it, that he got a great run off the line. He led down into turn 1. Taparis came back in the middle of the S's. You could see Reed Batty get wide, and it was at that moment there, Steve Martin, on the slippery part of the track, the back end stepped out. Reed Batty's bike speared back into the track, took out Nick Leamington. You can see Leamington's bike in the middle of the track there as well. Hyde looks like he got hit by someone's bike and caused a flat tyre. And also a lot of riders lucky to get away without getting caught up in that incident. Race was restarted over 12 laps. Tom Taparis led down into turn 1. A great start from Brock Pearson. He was in 2nd place as they made their way through, but also on a charge extremely early was Ollie Bayliss on board bike number 68. You can see him there down the inside of Ty Lynch on board bike number 85.
Yeah, Ollie Bayliss, he was the fastest man on the track, and you can see the work that he had to do, but he did it. He firstly went past Brock Pearson and then had, Ty Lynch, and then he was right behind Brock Pearson. It didn't take him long. Look at the gap up to the man in front. He got past Pearson with no problems at all, and we thought at this point, and Tom Taparis probably thought, well, doesn't matter, I'm pulling away from the field. But that man on the orange machine there, the Cube Racing bike, he really did dig deep and found something. Avalon Biddle, she also had a good ride. She needed to get kilometres under her belt because she hasn't had many dry laps at this circuit, but it was pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, but Ollie Bayliss, it wasn't too long, and he was right onto the back of Tom Taparis, challenging for the race win. And then, unfortunately, that mechanical misdemeanor there into the Kawasaki corner meant it was an early finish for the rider on board bike number 68. You can see how upset he was with that. But I think, as Troy Baylor said, they found something in this race. Great battle between Aidan Hayes and also Avalon Biddle, but Avalon just got it a little bit wrong into turn one and had to get on the brakes to try and stop running off track. As we see a good battle between Chris Quinn on board bike number 82 and Jack Passfield on bike number 42 for 7th and 8th positions. And there was also this great battle between Dallas Skier and Aidan Hayes, both trying to get their best finishes for the 2019 championship. In the end, though, it was Tom Taparis that took a comfortable victory over Brock Pearson and Ty Lynch and celebrated in style with a great wheel stand across the line. Congratulations to Tom Taparis, Brock Pearson in second and Ty Lynch in third, down to Emma.
Ty Lynch, congratulations. Your first podium and a fantastic ride. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Look, it was just really good to consolidate after that one. I mean, it's unfortunate seeing Ollie go out the way he did and then at the start of the race getting red flag, so it's never what you want to see, but we'll consolidate, take that. It's important for us as a team and a group to really move forwards in that direction, so I'm glad that that's the way it went.
That's got to give you a heap of confidence for the next race.
Well, look, I hope so. We'll never know until the gate drops, but look, it's important for us just to get laps under our belt, and if we can do that where we were, that's perfect. If not, well, that's just the way it goes. So just happy to be where I am, and yeah, cheers.
Congratulations. And in second position, Brock Pearson. Well done. You managed to avoid that accident on the first lap. Not great to see, but well done for you. Great riding.
Yeah, it was really good. It's unfortunate to see those riders crash out in the first race, but on the other side, it's good for us because we need championship points, and that's what we did there. We conserved the second, and it was really good. So I'd like to thank the team for helping get this weekend sorted, and all the best to the riders that were involved in that crash.
Thanks. Best of luck for the next one.
Thank you.
And Tom Taparis in first position yet again. Deja vu, 10th win for your 2019 season. Well done.
Thanks, Emma. Yeah, a bit of a weird one there. Like a few accidents in the beginning. I was glad to stay out of that. And and then Ollie, I think you heard he was on it, but something happened to his bike, which is a bit of a shame because he's going good. But for me, just good to get some more points for the championship. And it was unlucky for Nick to go down and also Reed, but it's my gain, I guess, from here. So hopefully this afternoon the weather stays good, and we can have a dry race and good finish to Winton.
Thanks, Tom. Well done.
Cheers, Emma.
A very quick break here from Winton Motor Raceway. Plenty more to come.
Don't miss a second of the action. Every corner, every shift, every heartbreak. See your motorsport as it should be, live and free. Download your Motorsport TV experience now.
Riders are taking up their position on the grid for the second of our Supersport 300 races for the weekend. Max Stouffer starts from pole position. Yanni Shaw, our race victor from yesterday, in second. And Luke Johnson on the front row of the grid in third. We are ready for a start now for YMI Supersport 300. Stouffer from pole position. Seth Crump, look for him getting a good jump from the second row of the grid as they make their way down towards turn one for the first time. It is Yanni Shaw that's got a great jump off the line on board the Bridgestone Shod Ninja, but it is Stouffer, the man from pole position, that leads them through turn one for the first time. And Steve Martin, I think they've all made it safely through turns 1 and 2. That's a relief.
Yeah, good to see. All the usual suspects are up there. Centre edges. I saw Hunter Ford as well. The man who won yesterday, Yanni Shaw on the Bridgestone Shod Kawasaki up there. Good to see him there. Just a bit of a glimpse. Brandon Demery, who won in the R3 Cup yesterday on his birthday. Happy birthday, Brandon. He's up there too. Zach Levy's in that group. Boy, this 300 class is always a cracker.
Yep, Yanni Shaw, our race victor from yesterday, is already up into the lead. And Seth Crump, a big move on the brakes down into the YMF corner, takes the KTM rider, the sole KTM rider in this class, up into second position. Stouffer back to third. Hunter Ford in fourth place. Then it looks like it's another one of the ninjas. I think that might be Luke Power on board bike number 68, having his first outing with the ProWorks team this weekend and doing a very good job as well. And right behind him, Senna Adjus, who was second in the championship coming into this round.
Seth Crump, great move up the inside there into AGV corner. Gets onto the back straight there with a little bit of a lead as they head down on the first lap. He's riding really well this weekend. He's having a real cracker on the podium yesterday, and I'm sure he wants to win today. Well, he's put himself in the perfect position for that.
Well, he's had a luckless season in 2019. I think he said on the podium yesterday, it's been an absolute disaster. Yesterday he got his season back on track, and you can see there that he's just been swallowed up as they make their way down in towards the Spokes S's turns 1 and 2. It is Yanni Shaw back into the lead. Max Stouffer right behind Crump in third place. Still Power and Adjus in there as well on board bike number 68 for Luke Power and 81 for Senna Adjus.
You can always count on Hunter Ford to be somewhere up near the front, and he certainly is. There's Brandon Demery. Got a lot of work to do from him. He's slipped back down the pack a bit in 11th position, but nevertheless still only 2 seconds off the pace.
Oh, Crump on the entrance into the Suzuki sweeper. The long left-hand corner has taken the lead back from Yanni Shaw. That was a confident manoeuvre there from Seth Crump, and it's amazing what a good result to do to get your season back on track, Steve Martin.
Well,
because
he's been fast everywhere we've gone. He's just had some some luck that hasn't gone his way.
Monumental bad luck, I think.
Yeah, monumental bad luck. But I tell you what, he's certainly got the corner speed happening on his RC390 today. He's riding the wheels up that bike, and he knows that with the length of some of the straights here, on the 300s at least, there's ample time to slipstream on these 300s. He needs to make a break in the back part of the circuit if he wants to break away.
Bit of bar banging going on between Luke Power and Senna Adjus back there as well as they fight for position. And if they keep doing that, they will let Maxi Stouffer just start to get a little bit of a gap on them as they make their way through MA corner. And now the final corner on the circuit. That is the Yamaha corner and out onto the Motul Pirelli front straight. A little bit of a lead starting to develop there for Seth Crump on board bike number 57. Hunter Ford and Yanni Shaw try to use the slipstream to bring themselves back into the equation. Shaw was late on the brakes down into turn 1, as he was yesterday, and he's managed to close in on the bump, but couldn't quite get past bike number 57, the Flying KTM.
Yeah, that was the strong point of Yanni Shaw yesterday. He was really strong into all the hard to upright braking areas. So, watch out for him to dive up the inside at any point. But it's going to be difficult through this part of the section for him, because this is where Seth Crump, and look at the track distance he takes out there. He took a couple of bike lengths out on the entrance to the sweeper there. Impressive stuff as they head through Suzuki and into the top end of the circuit.
But to be fair, the KTM is probably the most race bike-like chassis out there, isn't it? The rest of them are essentially commuter bikes that they're making go insanely quick around a racetrack. But that KTM, well, their motto is ready to race, and that's exactly what Seth Crump is here this weekend.
Well, absolutely. But you need a good rider behind the handlebars, and they've got one in Seth Crump. Whatever's happened to him this year, he's on a mission here this weekend. Already been on the podium, second yesterday in race 1. And I'll tell you what, keep an eye out for him, because I reckon that he's going to be, if not on the top step, a very good chance he will be.
Well, as they come down towards MA corner, it is still Seth Crump that leads. The start, however, is under investigation. So we'll wait and see if there are any jump start penalties handed out. Fastest man on track. No surprise to find out that is Zach Levy on board bike number 87, currently sitting back in 6th position.
Yeah.
As they come down in towards turn 1, it is Yanni Shaw that's managed to slipstream past Seth Crumpet. Following him through is Hunter Ford on board bike number 20.
Yeah, Hunter Ford, always a good starter up the front. The thing with him, if he's up near the front, you know that he's going to have a bit of a dabble, a bit of a dib at it. Good to see Max Stauffer. He hadn't off yesterday. Good to see him back up near the front as well. He's recovered from that.
As they come down towards the speedbird, let's see what Seth Crump could do. Look at the corner entry speed. He just has that fraction more corner entry speed over both Yanni Shaw and Hunter Ford, but there was no way past for Seth Crump, and he just had to get on the brakes a little bit. Max Stauffer sitting right behind him. Great ride there. Oh, up the inside. It is Zach Levy on board bike number 87, going up the inside of Luke Power on the 68 machine. And I think right behind him you'll find that Brandon Demery also did a very similar manoeuvre to Senna Adjus on board bike number 81.
Yeah, well, it's Crump with the work to do now, sitting back in 3rd place. Yanni Shaw in front. When he gets in front, I'll tell you what, you watch him in the braking area. Hunter Ford managed to keep up, and it's almost as if everybody watched the race yesterday, because he had a distinct braking advantage yesterday to Yanni Shaw. That seems to have disappeared today.
The lead group of 11 riders is covered by just over 1.5 seconds.
Crump up the inside on Hunter Ford. He's up the inside. Has he made a move stick? Oh, not much room there. Hunter Ford doesn't leave you any room, does he?
No, he didn't. And he'd been listening to your track preview, Steve Martin, where you said if you get your line right, there is an overtaking opportunity between turns 11 and 12. Seth Crump tried it on for size, and may just be sizing Hunter Ford up for later on in the race. As Yanni Shaw on the Bridgestone shod Ninja 400 continues to lead from Hunter Ford on board the older model Yamaha R3, and then Seth Crump on board the KTM RC390.
Tell you what, do not write off birthday boy from yesterday, Brandon Demery. He was 11th earlier in this race. He's moved himself up to 6th now, and he's threatening in the pack.
Well, also Max Stauffer too is looking like he's trying to find a way past Seth Crump, but you could see there that Max was all over the back of him as soon as they got to the corner entry into the long left-handed Suzuki sweeper, that Seth Crump was able to just run in there a fraction faster as Demery goes up the inside of Maxi Stauffer to take up the running of 4th position now. And you predicted that one, Steve Martin. Max Stauffer has also got right over the back of the ducktail of that machine. He's also got Zach Levy on board bike number 87.
Demery's passed about 7 or 8 guys in 2 laps, so he is on an absolute mission at the moment out there.
Hunter Ford's also got a fractional lead over this field now as he comes down through the AGV corner, and confirmation that bike number 81, Senna Adjus, has got a good start. In fact, it was too good. He's been given a jump start penalty, and he will receive that penalty at the end of the race. 10 seconds added onto his race time.
Yeah, so unfortunately for him, whatever that he does in this race, it will put him out of the points, because that many of these riders so close that he'll be 10 seconds back.
He's currently sitting in 7th position. Is Senna Adjus on bike number 81.
Yeah, it won't be a good result for him. Just more experience and more practice for the young rider.
So Hunter Ford leads from Yanni Shaw, Seth Crump, Max Stauffer back ahead of Brandon Demery on board bike number 11 as well. Then it's Senna Adjus on board bike number 81, has a look up the inside of Brandon Demery, can't find his way past. He may have also just been trying to hold out Zach Levy coming up the inside on board bike number 87 as well. Then it's Luke Power, the next rider behind. Then it's Luke Johnson, both the ProWorks machines in 8th and 9th position. And Lockie Taylor rounds out the top 10 on board bike number 151.
Yeah, Hunter Ford's doing a good job out there at the front. 31.8 for him. That's the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 31.8. So not only is he leading now, he's trying to stretch this out a little bit.
So around through the S's they come. Just a small gap starting to develop there between 2nd and 3rd position as well.
Even on these 300s, it's really important to get a drive out of Kawasaki corner there at the top right hand of the screen, and because you can get a good drive down there and overtake into AGV here.
So all over the back of Seth Crump now is Brandon Demery on board bike number 11.
Yeah, Brandon Demery trying to think about going up the inside. He's come from a long way back. We know that Demery's good here. He takes that tight line. We saw him do it a lap ago, but Seth is also good on the mid-corner speed. You see the tighter exit of Demery there as well. That's probably going to help him later on.
And also last round victor, Senna Agis, is trying to find his way past Max Stouffer, uses the slipstream, tries to go up the inside. I think Max might have got a caught on the outside of the track there and has gone up has lost a few positions. In fact, Demery's up to third, Crump into fourth, Agis into fifth, and Maxi Stouffer's back to sixth.
Demery, I just saw him take his hand off the handlebar there, and he's used the old, you know what, guys, why don't you just sit behind me? I don't think anyone's going to listen to him because that's not what happens in this class.
The amount of times that signal is given and ignored has just gone up one more.
It's the signal that's not a signal.
So third place now is Brandon Demery with a bit of work to do to catch up to our two leaders, Hunter Ford and Yanni Shaw, who had just managed to extricate themselves from this pursuing pack that are doing the Sunday carve up at the moment and slowing themselves down fractionally in the process as Zach Levy goes up the inside of Max Stouffer as well to relegate our championship leader one further position. He's now got Luke Johnson and Luke Power, the ProWorks riders, right behind as well as Max. And Lockie Taylor also starting to close in. And also I think you'll find Peter Nerlich is not too far behind that lead group as well, just try to tag onto the back of it.
New colour scheme for Lockie Taylor this week. His bike's looking resplendent, isn't it?
It certainly is. Looks absolutely fantastic and still extremely easy to pick out on track.
Yeah, the number 151 machine, Lockie Taylor. He's had his successes in this class, and I'll tell you what, the way that things change, could be up there this time too.
Yeah, he was on the podium at the Ben Motorsport Park with a fine second position as Hunter Ford continues to lead. Yanni Shaw and also Brandon Demery right in the game as well.
So these three guys now have pulled out a little bit of a gap, probably nearly half a second gap, a second gap I reckon on the, I think it's Senna Agis just behind there. So pretty comfortable out front now. Looks like these guys could be the podium as we're on lap 8 right now with a couple of laps to go.
It's amazing what a couple of good results can do for you because Brandon Demery got that win yesterday in the R3 Cup. Another strong performance this morning. Yesterday in this race, he was actually back in about 9th position or so. He's now up challenging for the lead. In fact, he's all over the back of Yanni Shaw. As Senna Agis is also on a charge. Senna Agis, yeah, okay, he's got a jump start penalty against him, but yesterday he was 11th. He was not in the game.
Yeah.
Here he is now. He's well and truly in the game. And if it wasn't for that jump start penalty, could be a chance at getting on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely, but this is an important race for him with one more race coming up later this afternoon. It's an important race for him to get the experience and at least find the speed.
And he's also second in the championship as well. Came into this round 28 points behind Max Stouffer. That would have been 29 after qualifying with the pole position for Max Stouffer. But we've got a rider down there. That's bike number 864. Unfortunately, an early end for him.
Yeah, not good
that
to
is
see.
Tristan Adamson on board his Yamaha R3. So here we go. Start of the last lap now. It is Hunter Ford that led across the line, but Yanni Shaw, the victor from yesterday's race, has made his move down in towards turn 1. You can see Yanni's going to pin the ears back now and try and get away, but Hunter Ford comes back immediately. Straight down the inside into turn 2. No, he can't do it at turn 3. Although there's a little bit of rubbing there, I think, from Hunter Ford's back wheel on Yanni Shaw's exhaust pipe as they make their way down through turn 3 and 4 area through the Pirelli corner and down to Suzuki.
Keep an eye on Brandon Demery in the background, though. We're coming into this part of the track where he's very strong. Yanni Shaw has got the experience. He's raced in overseas. He's raced in New Zealand, but Hunter Ford up the inside tries to make the move. He can't do it. Yanni Shaw holds that corner speed. Demery now sitting on the back there. Not much he can do at this point in time. We're running out of time. Hunter Ford needs to get a good drive out of Kawasaki. He's got 3 shots at this.
Well, he said that the one downfall of the Kawasaki in this class is the fact that it doesn't jump out of corners as good as the R3, and you can see it there. Hunter Ford pulled up right next to him on the way out of the corner. Is he late enough on the brakes? No, he's not. Shaw still holds out Hunter Ford. Look at this battle for 4th, 5th and 6th position as well. But it's the real battle on at the front now. It is Yanni Shaw that still leads. Hunter Ford will try and dive down the inside. You just know it, and he can't do it. He has to pull out. He's run wide. Brandon Demery comes through. He's done the Steve Martin suggested manoeuvre between turn 11 and 12. He's in second place, and that's where he should be able to hold off Hunter Ford as they come to the line. But Yanni Shaw will make it 2 from 2 in Supersport 300 with his second victory on the Bridgestone shod Kawasaki.
I think Hunter Ford did manage to get back on Brandon Demery. Hunter got a great drive out of that last corner. Brandon Demery ended up in 3rd position, but what a win for Yanni Shaw. He really pulled that one off nicely.
Now also too, Senna Agis comes across the line He will hold on to, I think it's 11th position. Seth Crump back to 11th position. He must have got some rough treatment in that last lap or so to drop right back in that lead group. He was up there battling for the lead. In fact, led the race early on, did Seth Crump.
Yeah,
but great ride from Yanni Shaw, and also a great ride from Hunter Ford and Brandon Demery. They really did pull away, and in the end, they were over a second clear of the rest of the field.
Yeah, hats off to Luke Power as well. Good to see him up into that top 7. And Luke Johnson, the two Lukes, getting a good position there. Maxi Stauffer, bit of a quiet weekend.
Yep, so confirmation of the results there. Yanni Shaw takes the win by 0.2 of a second over Hunter Ford and Brandon Demery. Senna Adjus, a great ride from him, much better than his ride yesterday. Hopefully they've found something on board that Kawasaki Ninja. And then it's Maxi Stauffer, our championship leader, coming into this, consolidates his points with 5th place ahead of the two ProWorks riders, Luke Power and Luke Johnson. Zach Levy back in 8th place, Lockie Taylor in 9th, and Peter Nerlich rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, pretty impressive stuff for him. Seth Crump, we were expecting a bit more after the start of the race. John Littress in 12th position on number 308 R3. John Quinn in 13th. Jacob Ralston a nice 14th. Ben Burke up there as well, making his debut in the class, of course, on the Kawasaki Ninja. Matt Rindell. Reese Outford from Victoria on the 121 machine in 17th. Ryan Smith in 18th. Xylus Bunting in 19th. And Zach Patendi from Queensland, 48 seconds in 20th position there.
Just ahead of Steph James on board bike number 30 in 21st position. Noel Mann in 22nd. Josh Noden in 23rd. Jeremy Smock in 24th. Craig White on board bike number 19 finishes in 25th position, and Greg Farrell, who's riding with the stickers of the prostate cancer, the official charity of the Australian Superbike Championship in 2019, rounds out our finishes, Steve Martin.
Yeah, good to see. Good to see a good crowd here this weekend as well. Even with the weather looking to be turning foul later on today, the crowd have turned out, and I'll tell you why. We've got a cracker of a race coming up soon.
We certainly have. This whole weekend has got so much to offer. Supersport 300 is certainly becoming one of the real spectacles of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship, as it has done over the last couple of years. And you just saw there why everybody loves Supersport 300 so much. And at the moment, this man is loving Supersport 300 more than anybody else because he scored his first ever victory in the championship yesterday afternoon, and he's done it again today with his second victory out of 2 races. Congratulations to Yanni Shaw.
Yeah, surely it'll be getting boring by now for him, but I don't think so.
No, he's been waiting a long time for this, Yanni Shaw. He's been a long time runner in the Supersport 300. And we mentioned about the link between our friends across the Tasman. Yanni Shaw is actually the reigning New Zealand Moto3 champion.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, he races over there in New Zealand as well. So big, Kiwi contingent over here this weekend, including some marshals. So yeah, good to see.
Down to M.
Brandon Demery, congratulations. Another podium for your 2019 season. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a pretty rough start to the year, but now we're finally getting back on the podium a bit more consistently, and I'm pretty stoked with that one. Off the start, I bottled it a bit. I missed a gear and I ended up down in about 15th, so I was surprised I could actually get up with the front guys at the start there and get in the podium battle, but the bike's feeling awesome. We made a little bit of a mistake there with gearing, which I think ultimately cost me the race. I probably could have got him if I had a different sprocket on the back, but these things happen. We'll move on, and can't thank the whole Rustic Flooring Surefire Security team enough. They worked their butt off all weekend and all year really, and got to thank our new supporters coming on this weekend, MGM Building Management and Guerrilla Energy. Thanks very much, guys.
Good luck for the next one. Hunter Ford in second position. Well done. Great battles all the way to the very last corner.
Yeah, it could have been a bit better if there wasn't an unnecessary yellow light out there, but yeah, just tried my hardest to win the race and couldn't quite.
Good luck for the next one. And in first position, Yanni Shaw. Congratulations, 2 from 2.
How's that one, eh? It's all right? No, we're really happy.
You did all right.
We're really, really happy. Look, Hunter rode flawlessly, to be honest with you. He had some serious exit speed, and I knew in the tight section he was coming, and I saw the yellow flag and kind of took it as a little bit of a bonus. Not really sure what I was there for, but I held my line and he couldn't overtake. So once that was done, I knew I'd cover the last couple of corners, and then we had it in the bag. But look, it was a fantastic race. I can't thank DB Racing Services, Dougie Bloomer and Bridgestone Racing for all their support. All my personal sponsors. It's epic. Thank you.
Good luck for the next one.
Cheers. A big shout out to Jace Wilburn. He's recovering from an incident back out at one of the St George rounds, so get well, buddy.
Thanks very much, Emma. Congratulations to Yanni Shaw, Hunter Ford and Brandon Demery. a great ride between those three for the battles on the podium. Let's have a look at the highlights now. Great start from Maxi Stouffer. Got a good jump off the line. Yanni Shaw also got a great start, but also, once again, Seth Crump well and truly in the battle from the early stages of this race. Steve Martin was third as they went through the S's for the first time.
Yeah, he certainly was. He did a great job at the start of the race. He was pumped, especially after the podium yesterday. It wasn't long before he was in the lead, and boy, he was carrying some corner speed. But I'll tell you what, you can never hold down that number 333. Yanni Shaw, after the victory yesterday, he's first in the class, put that Bridgestone shot Kawasaki in front, and what a job he did. He had to hold off Hunter Ford, though. You know that when Hunter Ford's at the front, that's where he stays.
Well, the one thing you could notice there, that in that lead group of riders, Brendan Demery, the man that eventually finished in third place, was a long way back. He carved his way through the field, getting more and more aggressive as he had to go through the field, making up one position here, one position there, and it wasn't long before he was up into the lead group, which the race was continually led by Hunter Ford or Maxi Stouffer early on. Also, Yanni Shaw was in there, but all this time, Brendan Demery was working his way forward. It wasn't long until the top three started to get away from the pursuing pack, and it was down to the battles on the podium. Unfortunately, Tristan Adamson on board bike number 864 had an early exit.
Certainly did, but although those three had stretched away from the rest of the pack, there was still plenty of action to be had with the places swapping corner on corner. Hunter Ford led at one point, it was Yanni Shaw the next, with Brendan Demery in the background there trying to pick up the pieces.
Yanni Shaw made what was, in the end, a very smart move, taking the lead at turn one and managed to hold off the pursuing pack for the remainder of the race. Demery tried the big move between turns 11 and 12, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to hold out Hunter Ford, who was trying incredibly hard all of the time, tried to find a way past there, couldn't get past Yanni Shaw, and on the run to the flag, just managed to slipstream past Brendan Demery, who'd put the move on between turn 11 and 12 on the last lap.
Yeah, it was a pretty impressive race, wasn't it?
Getting ready for the Kawasaki Superbike class now. Let's go down to Emma on the grid.
And starting at pole position, Mike Jones. The sun is shining, which is great to see. A big couple of races ahead for you.
Yeah, look, it's fantastic. You know, the conditions here have been a bit average the last couple of days, but we're very fortunate now. We got the race looking like it's going to be fine weather, so I'm really excited about that, and I can't wait to get started.
Go get him.
Cheers, thank you very much.
We'll keep walking down the grid, guys. We will come over to the guy that's starting in third position, Crew Halliday, in the fight for that championship. Big day for you, mate.
Yeah, it is a big day. It's everyone's saying this is a turning point for a championship, so everyone's got to abide by those rules. If they're all saying it's got to be true, so we just got to try to get off the start good and be aggressive first couple of laps. But something always goes wrong in that first turn for a superbike class over the years. So just need to get through it smooth and try and make a race with it. Try to stay with Wayne and Mike and try to fend off whoever's behind me.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
We'll keep walking. I know the anthem's coming up. Not yet, though. Let's jump in with Daniel Felson. Daniel, starting from fourth. Seeing as you only got to be a part of one dry session this weekend, that's a great result.
Yeah, it's a pretty good result for us. I mean, fourth is not a bad spot on the grid here at Winton. You've got a straight line straight down to turn one. I really hope I can get a good jump just like Morgan Park and be right up there with the front boys.
Best of luck.
Thanks, Em.
Boys?
Thanks very much, Em. Great to hear
See
from...
what I mean? Like, I've got no idea.
So great to hear from some of the riders up there on the front of the grid. Just a recap on the championship positions too. Mike Jones leads the championship over Crew Halliday by 2 points. Came into this round 1 point ahead, and that 1 point for pole position. How important will that be in the end? Mike Jones has got 3 points solely from pole positions at the Ben Motorsport Park at round 3, Morgan Park at round 4, and here at Winton in round 5. Crew Halliday, of course, has that sole pole position for the round at Wakefield Park, round 2 of the championship. And 2 points is the championship lead. Brian Starring, the man that was victorious in all 3 races at the Ben Motorsport Park, is now 9 points behind the championship lead. In third position, Troy Herfoss, who had an up-and-down weekend in practice and qualifying, is 4th in the championship. Wayne Maxwell 5th. Josh Waters in 6th. 28 points between 1st and 6th in the championship. Back down to Emma.
Marcus Kyoto, starting from 5th position, your best starting spot for 2019. Well done.
Yeah, no, thank you. Hopefully I can keep it in the top 5 for the race. That's my aim. So hopefully we'll get through the first one with the top 5 finish and, have a strong result.
So play it safe or push for that podium then?
If there is a chance at it, I'll definitely push for it. But the guys up front are pretty quick at the moment, so hopefully I can, get through this first race and then go into the second one with some confidence and try and build on that.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Boys?
Been very impressive this weekend, has Marcus Chiodo. He's looking comfortable, and fifth place is the best qualifying position. That's actually 2 places better than he'd managed at any round this year. Well, now it's time for the singing of the Australian National Anthem. Well, the tension is starting to build down there on the grid now with the completion of the Australian National Anthem. Down to the grid with Steve Martin.
Well, I'm down here with Josh Waters, and I'll tell you what, looking into his eyes, he's the man that's got a good run into that first turn. How you feeling, mate?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough race. I think we're all pretty close, so all I can do is just hang it out and try my hardest.
All right, mate. What do you think? I mean, how's your testing gone?
Yeah, not too bad. We've definitely improved over the weekend, and yeah, it's just the field's very close at the moment. There's a few different also tyre options, so it'll be interesting to see who's chosen what. You'll see that, I reckon, about lap 10.
Well, what about qualifying, mate? You're in a pretty good position.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Of course, I'd like to be a row forward, but I'm not, so yeah, just head down, bum up.
All right, well, this is a track that he's had some pretty good results on in the past, so it was actually the track that gave him his big break. So we'll head back up to you now, Phil.
Yeah, thanks very much, Steve. And I think Josh Waters there is... I don't actually remember seeing Josh Waters as pumped up. He looked completely focused on the run down in towards turn one. Of course, he starts on the inside of the grid, so it's not a bad position because you don't want to be hung out to dry on the outside of the grid. And I think it was Crew Halliday that mentioned that has happened plenty of times before. Back down to Steve.
We're here with Brian Starring. Not long until this race gets underway. What are you feeling, Muddy?
The normal nerves of the last minute rush before the race starts, and just concentrating on what the light's going to bring to me and make sure I get away from here clean.
All right, best of luck, mate.
Of course, Brian Starring was the victor at round 3, the only man to win 3 races in a round of the championship. Only a couple of rounds have the 3-race format, and Brian Starring dominated at the Bend Motorsport Park on board the BC Performance Kawasaki to take the championship lead at that stage in the championship. We've had a few leaders of the championship so far this year. Unfortunately, Aidan Wagner, who won the first race of the season, out with a shoulder injury at round 2. Hoping to see Aidan back in 2020, back in the 2020 Australian Superbike Championship as the riders leave the grid. Championship points coming into this race. Mike Jones on 185. 2 points ahead of Crew Halliday on 183. Brian Starring on 176 in third. Herfoss in fourth on 169. Maxwell 158. 1 point ahead of his teammate Josh Waters, who we heard from on the grid. Only 28 points separating that top six. All of them multiple Australian champions. Matt Walters, the leading privateer, in seventh on 112 points ahead of Daniel Falzon, the Yamaha factory team rider. Al Phillips, the second in the privateers, and Glenn Scott, unfortunately not here this weekend due to injuries sustained at Morgan Park, still sits in 10th place in the championship as the riders head off on their warm-up lap. Final opportunity to expel those nerves and get ready for this race. The big news coming yesterday afternoon, though, is that the 3 times Australian Superbike champion Glenn Allerton will not take up his position on the grid. Jones starts from pole position, Maxwell in second, and Crew Halliday in third. 3 different brands of motorcycle on the front row of the grid. Second row of the grid is Daniel Falzon on board the Yamaha, Mark Chiodo on board the Honda, and Josh Waters on board the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machine. With row 3, Arthur Cece's, the impressive privateer, on board his Suzuki in 7th, Brian Starring in 8th, and Al Phillips in 9th position on board the third of the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machines. Matt Walters, Aaron Morris and Troy Herfoss will start from the 4th row of the grid in 10th, 11th and 12th. 13th, Kyle Buckley, great to see him back in the championship in 13th place. Damon Rees in 14th, and Glenn Allerton won't take up that 15th position due to his ongoing wrist injury. 16th position, Lockie Eppes on board the privateer Kawasaki. Brendan McIntyre in 17th, Hamish McMurray in 18th. Rounds out the grid with, unfortunately, Ted Collins not participating in the races today after a difficult start to the weekend on board his privateer BMW. And great to see Aaron Morris once again on board that sole now Next Gen Motorsports BMW S1000RR. There's Matt Walters on board the Kawasaki Connection Rover Coaches Repsol Kawasaki, making his way round to take up his position on the grid. But the first person looking like they're getting back to the grid is that Mark Chiodo on board the Honda. Oh no, it's actually Mad Mike Jones on board the Desmo Sport Ducati, the man that qualified in pole position with the fastest ever lap of Winton Motor Raceway on a motorcycle, a 1 minute 19.994. But it is all to play for here. 6 races left in the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship. Who will be the Wizard of Winton? Race number 1 about to get underway. It is Mad Mike Jones starting from pole position. We're in the starter's hands, ready to get a good jump there from second place on the grid. Blake Maxwell got a cracking start and could very well lead them down in towards turn 1. No, it is Mad Mike Jones that comes back on the inside, but no surprise to see Arthur Cece's on board bike number 61 has got a cracking start, and he's up into third place as they come through turn 3 for the first time. Brian Starring sideways into the corner. Can he keep the BC Performance Kawasaki on track? He was sliding in there. On the limit was Brian Starring on board bike number 67, just behind Daniel Falzon, who also got a good start on board bike number 25. Where is Troy Herfoss? That is the big question. He started back on the 4th row of the grid. Needs to get a good start and make his way through early as Mad Mike Jones and Wayne Maxwell just pull a little bit of a gap. There goes Crew Halliday on board bike number 65 up the inside of Starring to take up the running in 5th position.
Yeah, it looks like Herfoss has definitely got work to do there. He didn't get that magic start that he needed, but Mike Jones in front at the moment. That's a dangerous scenario for these guys.
Yeah, Wayne Maxwell trying hard and trying desperately to hang on to the back of the fast-starting Desmo Sport Ducati. And the big question is, how long will it take riders to get past and work their way forward? Lockie Eppes getting it all wrong down into AGV corner. It's an interesting battle between Lockie Eppes and Kyle Buckley here this weekend as well, with Buckley looking like he just got the better of Eppes on the run down the back straight.
Yeah, Crew Halliday with work to do too, starting from the front row. He's down in 5th at the moment. That's not where he will want to be. So Crew Halliday with a lot of work to do.
Yeah, didn't get the jump off the line, Crew Halliday, and may have just got boxed in a fraction at turn 1 as they come through the Spokes S's, turns 1 and turn 2 now. It is both the Yamaha team riders, Daniel Falzon and Crew Halliday, trying to find their way past the fast-starting privateer, Arthur Cece's, who was so impressive in qualifying yesterday, making it straight through into the Q2 session. But that's a good job for a privateer.
Well, it's a great job for a privateer. Of course, they've got some new parts fitted to that bike this weekend. They've got the new Yoshimura ECU as Wayne Maxwell's got onto his bike. And I'll tell you what, it seems to have made a big, big difference. Arthur Cece's now showing a lot of guys that he wouldn't normally the way around this Winton circuit.
Troy Herfoss up to 8th position, just getting the better of Al Phillis. Start is under investigation. The news coming through from Race Direction. So we'll wait to hear what the outcome of that is. As Mike Jones on board the Desmo Sport Ducati. Bike number 46 currently leads from bike number 47. Wayne Maxwell on the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machine. They're starting to get away at the front, but this battle for 3rd and 4th position with Arthur Cece's just managing to hold out Falzon and Crew Halliday is mesmerising at the moment, because look at the riders queuing up from behind. Brian Starring is in there as well now. And also right behind Brian Starring is Josh Waters and Troy Herfoss.
Yeah, this track is so hard to pass on. The more horsepower you've got, the more room you need to pass. And I'll tell you what, on these bikes, you've really got to commit. And, you know, these guys just need to get past Cece's if they can, because I think he's holding him down at the moment. Cruz made a move now. Cruz moved up into 4th position. He knows how important it is. Mike Jones is 2 points in front of him in the championship at the moment, but it could be a lot more by the end of this race.
I think we have a new lap record for Wayne Maxwell. First flying lap, a 1:20.221. That eclipses his 1:20.437 set in this race last year.
Yeah, well, I got a feeling that that time will dip even further, Phil, as Mike Jones just eases into this race. He's in a league of his own at the moment, but look at Maxwell. Maxwell knows how to win around this circuit. He won here last year, didn't he?
Well, he did, and he's done plenty of times before as well, has Wayne Maxwell. It's a strong circuit for the Victorian. It really suits his late-braking style.
It is a circuit also where tyre degradation can come into it, you know, after about 5 or 10 laps. Because of the edge grip that you need around this Winton circuit, you're always on the side of the tyre. If that grip goes away, well, then it's all about the setup that you've done in practice. And one thing we do know about this weekend is that there hasn't been a lot of practice done due to the inclement weather we've seen on Saturday and Friday.
Well, and as Josh Waters pointed out to you on the grid, there are a couple of different tyre options, and we'll know at about lap 10 who's taken what option, as Jones just gets a good drive out of turn 2 there, and Wayne Maxwell has to come back strongly on the brakes to try and get that distance that he lost out of turn 2 back.
Yeah, absolutely. The two front runners are way out in front at the moment. Arthur Cece's in 3rd position. His pretty much best result of the year so far. It's very impressive, but I've just got a bit of a feeling that he's holding the other guys up. Arthur's notoriously good off the start. Well, Maxwell up the inside. Maxwell makes a move at the top of the circuit. What a great move through YMF corner in the S's by Wayne Maxwell. He's feeling pretty confident. Mike Jones won't be too worried about this though, because now he's the one that'll get to follow the guy in front.
That was the one thing that we noticed from practice on Friday afternoon, and also yesterday, Steve, when we were watching from over at that area of the circuit, is that Wayne Maxwell seems to be able to put the bike anywhere on the track on the entry into those tight and twisty corners over the far side of the circuit. Here's a replay of it now. You can see he gets a great run out of the Suzuki sweeper and straight down the inside. He's able to stop the bike and turn it on a narrow apex there, and great work from Wayne Maxwell. There's nowhere to come back through those corners if Maxwell gets good drive out and carries corners.
Oh, but that's Kyoto.
Mark Kyoto down.
Yes,
you almost thought for a moment it was Herfoss.
It won't be Herfoss. Herfoss needs these points. He's worked, talking about Herfoss, he's worked his way up to 7th. But back now, it's the number 46, Mike Jones, leading this. So Mike Jones has got himself back in front of Wayne Maxwell. So the battle is on Royale with these two bikes. It's Ducati versus Suzuki, and we're now coming through the sweeper into the Suzuki corner where we know Maxwell is strong. Will he do it again this time round? No, he sits there this time.
That was a confident manoeuvre there from Mike Jones to take back the lead from Maxwell as these two get further and further ahead. Here it is down the inside at Spokes S's turn 1. Not much room there, but Jones was able to just get the Desmo Sport Ducati 1299 Panigale final edition through on Maxwell. And Wayne will now have to sit there and try and plan another overtaking opportunity. But what he's done is he's let Mike Jones know where one of his favourite opportunities is, and that is at the start of the S's.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it's just a matter of what will he do. They both know at this point, I mean, they've got a 3-second lead over the rest of the field at the moment. There's still a long way to go in this one, but 3 seconds is very comfortable. It's going to be difficult for that second group to catch up to these guys. So it's out of these two guys now. If I was Wayne Maxwell, I'd be thinking, right, just stay and conserve my energy. You can see the group in the background there. There's daylight between these guys.
Herfoss up to 6 now on board bike number 1 behind Falzon.
Crew Halliday has made his way past now Arthur Cece, so you just keep that in mind. Crew Halliday's past. Paul Free, team manager there of the QBE team. Mike Jones's right-hand man is just looking a little bit pensive there.
Well, Paul Free's probably... there he goes again! Maxwell up the inside. Well, Paul Free would have been watching that one because his rider has now got to play second fiddle once again to the Wayne train. This is it's an entertaining battle at the front, but also completely different motorcycles with different attributes at different areas of the track is what makes it even more interesting. You can see there that Maxwell is able to turn that Suzuki right in tight at that entrance to the S's, and Mike Jones using the drive and the power of the Desmo Sport Ducati.
Well, there's definitely two different riding styles you need to ride these motorcycles, and that Big V Twin Ducati is a bike that you need to swoop to make it work well, and Mike Jones has adjusted brilliantly to it. But on a tight track like this, you need to be a little bit nimble at some points, and that's where Wayne Maxwell has probably got the Suzuki working, because it is more nimble. But the drive of the big Ducati, no room there this time. He cuts him off and doesn't leave Jones anywhere to go.
Well, Jones went to the outside there, but you could see how tight Maxwell went in. He almost rubbed the inside of the Team X-Star Suzuki machine on that raised curb through the inside of turn one there. Well, he was trying to make sure that he had the right line to get the drive out of the corner.
Maxwell needs to just, to me it's obvious that on that straight there, the Ducati's got the punch, the drive out of the final turn to get up next to Wayne Maxwell and outbrake him into the spokes S's whenever he wants. So what Maxwell needs to do is just make each line unpredictable into that spot. You can just see now, there we go, it's Mike Jones there through Suzuki corner again. Maxwell keeps that mid-corner speed up, the nimbleness of the Suzuki, dives up the inside. Jones wasn't expecting that. You could see that by the way he stood the bike up, and Maxwell's shown him 2 times how strong he is at that point of the circuit. You wouldn't want to be doing that too many more times, Phil.
Well, the other thing is that too, that once again Maxwell proved that he can stop that bike, turn it on a good arc, and still get decent drive out of the corner. Well, let's go down to Emma. She's with Paul Free. I wonder what he thinks of this race.
Hey, Freebie, this is lots of fun for us to watch, but I'm sure it's nerve-wracking for you.
A little bit at the moment. There's these two boys are really showing their strengths and weaknesses on the track. You know, like Mike's strong in certain parts, the last sort of sector, and Wayne's stronger in others. So it's an interesting little race, but I think it's going to go right to the last corner.
Thanks, Freebie. Good luck.
Well, and the other interesting thing is for people out there watching this race is that Paul Free has worked extensively with both of these riders. So working with Mike Jones now, but Wayne Maxwell was in Paul Free's team for many, many years. He almost knows Wayne Maxwell as well as Wayne Maxwell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess exactly what he was saying is what he might be having a word to his rider about when they come in to the pits later on, and that is, don't necessarily show your strengths straight up, because Maxwell will know. The same with Maxwell. They know where they're tough now. When it comes to that final lap, if Jones is in front, all he needs to do is slow down in the middle of Suzuki and close to the inside, and that will block that off for Maxwell. So, it's all about learning who's strong and where between these two guys. You want to keep your cards under the table at the moment.
Just thought I'd report that moving up now into 4th place and closing in on the back of Crew Halliday for 3rd is none other than the reigning champion Troy Herfoss on the Penrite Honda. As these two go head-to-head at the front of the circuit, Herfoss is making his way through the field. He's up into 4th. Falzon is back to 5th. Cece's back to 6th. Still an impressive ride from the Suzuki Privateer. 7th place is Josh Waters, Brian Starring, Al Phillips, and Matt Walters rounds out the top 10.
And meanwhile, back out front, it is the Ducati, Mike Jones, who takes the lead again. Definitely got good punch out of the final Yamaha corner down the Pirelli Motul straight, as that big Ducati with the number 46 planted on the front.
Well, will Maxwell go back into the lead at his favourite corner? As we see is that someone from Team Suzuki X-Star Australia having a good look on there? No, Maxwell just goes to the outside, carries the corner speed into the corner, sits behind Jones. We'll study the form of the Desmo Sport Ducati. We're only on lap 9 of 16, so we're starting to get towards the area where Josh Waters predicted that we'll start to know who has chosen what tyre And I think what he meant there is that obviously there was a softer option that will be faster at the start and one that will last a lot better and continue to hold solid race pace for the end of this lap.
Well, this could come back to Troy Herfoss and Crew Halliday then. If they've both got the harder tyre on and the two guys out front have got that softer option.
Oh, Maxwell's run wide.
Oh.
He's run wide at MA corner. He got in there a fraction too deep on the brakes and he's lost a couple of bike lengths difference to Mike Jones now, who will come across the line. That lead will be out to about 1 second as they come across the line. And it is 0.8 of a second, the lead for Jones. I wonder if he knows now that Maxwell is not there. Would he be able to hear the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machine has disappeared from the back of the Panigale, or over that Panigale? Would you not be able to hear anything?
I don't think you can hear anything, but he'll certainly know when he comes by next time, because Paul Frew will have his men on the fence there. Let's have another look at this. Maxwell's gone in really hard. Look at the back wheel. It's been airing in the air. Loses rear grip. He has to run that little bit wide, otherwise he's just going to lose the front. Too much entry speed. Let's head back down to Emma. She's with Honda.
Dion Crute, that was a massive challenge for Troy Herfoss this morning, coming from 12th, and he's charged all the way through to 4th. Great ride.
Yeah, he's on the move. Hopefully he can get onto the podium now. He's all over Crew in 3rd. So, yeah, fingers crossed we're on the podium in a minute.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Yeah, that'll be a big move if he can do that. And he's got the drive down the straight, but Crew was very hard on the brakes. So the Honda man there on the Penrite Honda number 1, the current champion, Troy Herfoss. Boy, what a weekend he's had.
Well, the thing is that anyone that thought that Troy Herfoss, because he'd had a difficult qualifying and a difficult day on Friday, was going to take his toys and not play today, doesn't know Troy Herfoss very well. He was always going to come out strong and fight for everything that he could. And here he is now in this battle for 4th place, or 3rd and 4th place, with the Crew Halliday, as our race leaders are through the spokes S's. They're starting lap 11 now of the 16-lap journey. And it's going to be very interesting who has got the better setup in race setup, in regards to race setup between Crew Halliday and Troy Herfoss to finish strong.
Well, Herfoss in the morning warm-up was very, clockwork, lap after lap within 0.1, 0.2. So you've got to go with Herfoss on that one. But the year that Crew Halliday's had, he is really coming of age. And look, that 1 second gap is now gone. Maxwell has got something in the bag.
Well, he's closed up onto the back of Jones with relative ease in the space of, a lap or so, because remember it was at turn 11, the MA corner, where Maxwell ran wide a lap ago, and he's now recovered all of that distance, and he's in position to once again study the form of Mike Jones and the Desmo Sport Ducati 1299 Panigale final edition on board that Suzuki Team X-Star Australia GSXR 1000.
Yeah, the Suzuki is certainly turning well through the tight part of the circuit, through YMF, through Suzuki corner, as it probably should. But that is definitely the strength that Wayne Maxwell has at the moment. It looks like it's quite nimble to change. As you can see there, Ben saying, use your head, use your head.
Well, there's nothing between these two as they come round to complete 11 laps. The lead for Jones was 0.3 of a second. Fastest man in the race so far is still Wayne Maxwell with that 1:20.221, a new lap record. The speed on the last lap too also indicates that the Panigale has a 7 km/h in top speed over Wayne Maxwell's GSXR 1000, the Phil Tayton prepared machine.
Yeah, I reckon you won't have to tell Wayne Maxwell that. I reckon he can see it. So. Yeah, definitely, the advantage of that torque, and torque is what you need here as Wayne Maxwell goes again up the inside and takes his move in his perfect spot, his overtaking spot. But I tell you now, if Jonesy's leading on the last lap there, he's going to just go slow and close that opportunity down. You can't show him too many times.
Well, you mentioned before about how the Ducati likes the nice sweeping lines, but if he takes the inside line and Maxwell can't get past, it's one line through that area of the track. So as they come up towards now turn 11 once again, we'll have a look at the replay. You can see Maxwell is just able to run it in deep there, turn the bike on a dime straight through the corner, and Jones simply had no response.
No, but when it comes to the last lap, all Jones needs to do is just close that down. And, then Maxwell will have nowhere to go. Unless he's going to go around the outside, which is, knowing Wayne Maxwell, anything's possible.
I like how he's on his lap board. They told him that it was Jones that was in second place. I think he might already have a fair indication of that as they make their way up over the old start finish line and down in towards turn 3.
Now, the thing is that about this point, with just a handful of laps left of this race to go, it could be the point where Maxwell's decided to pull the pin, and it looks like he is. He's pulling the pin and he's leaving Mike Jones behind. Look at that gap that's opened up already.
Well, you could tell there the body language from Wayne Maxwell had changed through turn 3 and 4, hadn't it? And he even ran in incredibly wide and incredibly deep. His line through there was fairly wide and swooping because he's really putting the pressure on now. I think we can safely say that maybe it's Maxwell's gone for the harder tyre, which is going to give him that extra strength at the end of the race. But the big question is, what has Jonesy done? It's now time for him to respond with Maxwell piling on the coals.
Well, I think what we're seeing there is, as we have a look at the Herfoss move up into a podium position, third, great job by him. Crew Halliday fighting for every point that he can get. This battle is certainly not over because Halliday is very close to the lead of the championship. He won't wanting Mike Jones to be up there in front of him and losing points. So Halliday definitely with work to do. He'll fight for that spot.
And Herfoss from 12th on the grid, it must be said as well, Steve Martin. But I tell you what, Crew Halliday and Troy Herfoss are probably both hoping that Wayne Maxwell takes the race win to limit the points advantage for Mike Jones at the top of the field. It is Maxwell that still leads from Jones. Herfoss that leads from Halliday in the battle for 3rd and 4th position. He's looking back behind them. It is Daniel Falzon in 5th, Josh Waters in 6th.
Yeah, and Brian Starring just behind him. Good ride by Matty Walters as well in the top 8. That's an excellent ride by him.
Yeah, well, he's actually moved forward 2 positions in the last lap or so.
Yeah, and he's actually lapping in the low 22s, which is equal to the 3rd or 4th fastest time on track at the moment.
He's actually closing in the back of Brian Starring as well now, is Matt Walters, our leading privateer in this race on board the Rover Coaches Kawasaki Connection Repsol Kawasaki ZX-10RR as Maxwell continues to hold a handy lead over Mad Mike Jones. You can see there from the drone footage that Jones has not been able to respond from that burst of speed from Wayne Maxwell on board the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machine. He'll come round to complete 14 laps, so there'll be 2 laps to go. There's Brian Starring with Matt Walters, the BC Performance Kawasaki versus the Kawasaki Connection ZX-10RR as they come down into AGV corner. That was the area where Matt Walters was struggling with the bike, getting, as he described it to us, Steve Martin, very taily.
This is the best ride I've seen Matt Walters have in a long, long time. I seem to be saying that a lot lately. He's been up there and very competitive, but he's right on the back of Brian Starring. Brian Starring is a world-class motorcycle racer. He raced in MotoGP. That just shows you the quality of the riders throughout this field. Matt Walters, what a job.
Well, Matt Walters also a multiple Australian champion as well.
Absolutely.
And doing a great job on board that machine. Both of them are Kawasaki ZX-10RRs. The 67 machine from Brian Starring is the BC Performance Kawasaki. And Matt Walters actually came into this round, Steve Martin, 7 kilos lighter. Not because he'd been doing an immense amount of training. He'd been in bed with the flu for 2 weeks before this meeting. So even more credible effort from Matt Walters to be so strong at the back end of this race.
Well, you know what? Those 7 kilos are certainly making a difference here because I don't remember the last time, probably Morgan Park, where he was dicing around with Brian Starring. So he has done it before, but this is really good to see. The Kawasaki Connection rider doing a brilliant job.
Wayne Maxwell is continuing to pile on more coals into the furnace of the Wayne train. He's out to 1.3 seconds over Mike Jones in the lead of this race as well. On the last lap alone, he was 0.4 of a second faster.
Walters is up the inside.
Down the inside. He's run wide. Brian Starring, that world-class rider that you said, he knew it was coming. He waited for Walters to go past, run wide, and then blasted the BC Performance Kawasaki back up the inside, and has got a handy little lead now as they'll come round to get the last lap board.
Absolutely, he's still got another chance. Let's have a look at this. He's just left his braking really late here. The back comes around, slides up the inside, has to run wide, and Brian Starring says, "Oh, okay," and gets a good drive out. So there's a little bit of a gap there now between those 2 guys as we head through down onto the last lap of this one.
Yeah, Wayne Maxwell is heading around towards the back end of the circuit now into his favourite corner, the Suzuki corner, and down into Yamaha with a very handy lead over Mike Jones. Jones is not in a position to be able to challenge the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machine of Maxwell as he comes through there. Very calm on this last lap.
Well, what a ride by Wayne Maxwell. Just a couple of corners to go for him. He crashed in race 1 here last year. He won't make that mistake this time round. He will not. He's got this in hand. A couple of corners to go. He's got the gap. 1.7
second lead he had. He pulled the pin with about 3 laps to go. Who's the boss? Well, this is the boss of Winton at the moment. I can tell you now. 2 corners to go, Phil.
It's all about the Wayne train. He comes round. He's on rails, Wayne Maxwell, as he comes out of the final corner and blasts towards the finish line to take another victory at Winton. Wayne Maxwell is the Wizard of Winton in race number 1. Jones comes across the line in second place. The eventual winning margin, 1.861 seconds for Wayne Maxwell. Troy Herfoss, a remarkable recovery from 12th on the grid to take 3rd place and join Maxwell and Jones on the podium, and Crew Halliday will take 4th. Josh Waters smashed his way through to 5th position on the last lap, getting the better of Daniel Falzon on the line.
Yeah, what a great result that was. A good ride by Herfoss, but Wayne Maxwell, he had us all fooled. We thought he was showing his hand too quickly, but his other plan was get past and then bang, go for it. And he did. He had more in the bag. He had more grip, more nimbleness on the track as well, which meant that he didn't have to lean over as far. That's probably the weak point of the Panigale. It's got to stay on the side longer than that Suzuki there. The Suzuki can turn, he can stand it up.
And also, too, Wayne Maxwell's style would wear the edge of the tyre less because he doesn't move around on the bike. He stands it up more, doesn't seem to lean it over as far through the corners. And he actually rode that race to absolute perfection.
Yeah, absolutely.
So congratulations to Wayne Maxwell. He takes the win on the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia GSX-R 1000 by 1.861 seconds over Mike Jones. Troy Herfoss back there in 3rd place, and a great ride on board the Penrite Honda to take 3rd place from 12th on the grid, ahead of Crew Halliday. Josh Waters in 5th position, Daniel Falzon in 6th, Brian Starring in 7th, Matt Walters, the leading privateer, in 8th, Al Phillips on board the 3rd of the Team Suzuki X-Star machines inside the top 10 in 9th, and Arthur Cece's, a great ride from him in position number 10. Damon Rees in 11th, Kyle Buckley in 12th, Aaron Morris in 13th, Lockie Epps on board bike number 22 in 14th, Mark Kyoto remounted and finished in 15th position, and Brendan McIntyre, unfortunately, 5 laps down in that race.
Yeah, that was an absolute cracker of a race, Phil. Absolute cracker.
Well, highlights of the race now. You saw Wayne Maxwell get a great start. We thought he was going to lead down in towards turn 1, but Jones got the good jump, and the bottom end of that Ducati propelled him into the spokes S's in the lead. Maxwell in 3rd, but it was Arthur Cece's that got a cracking start, and he was through into 3rd place early on. And in fact, as the leaders started to get away in the early stages of the races, everybody else found it incredibly hard to get past the fast-starting privateer and late-braking rider on board bike number 61. And Cece's held them at bay for many, many laps, as Jones and Maxwell got away at the front and then started to have a 2-man war. Kyoto put the Penrite Honda down, but remounted and continued on as Maxwell passed Jones. Jones passed Maxwell. Positions at different areas of the track, both using the advantages of their riding styles and motorcycles to take the lead at various opportunities. That was Wayne Maxwell's favourite overtaking position, right into the S's. He was able to turn the Suzuki nice and tight, whereas Jones was very strong on the straight on board the Panigale. You could see him come back there strongly, and Maxwell had to take different lines to try and hold off the challenge from the Panigale. He got it all wrong into turn 11, did Maxwell, but recovered brilliantly there to keep the bike on track after getting in way too deep at MA corner, and had a little bit of work to do to try and force his way back. Speaking of work to do, that's exactly what Troy Herfoss had to do early on. He started from 12th place on the grid, and before long he was up there challenging Crew Halliday for 3rd position as Jones and Maxwell went to war at the front. Once again, it was Wayne Maxwell overtook in his favourite position. Jones had no way to come back, had to run the bike a little bit wide, and I think that was about the last time that Mike Jones was able to challenge Wayne Maxwell. It wasn't long after that he piled on the coals and started to really stretch out the lead, as we saw this great battle between Matt Walters and Brian Starring for 7th and 8th position, with Walters just running a fraction wide and Starring getting the better of him at the end. But Wayne Maxwell had no challenge towards the end of the race. He dropped off Jones and he took the victory by 1.8 seconds over Jones and Troy Herfoss in 3rd position, as Crew Halliday has a look at his rear tyre and wonders what could have been. Championship points will be very interesting after that one, with Wayne Maxwell continuing to force his way back up the championship ladder. Let's go down and hear from our top 3. They're with Emma.
Troy Herfoss, wow, you had your work cut out for you this morning after such a disappointing day yesterday, but well done. That's going to go down for one of the best rides of your life.
No, unfortunately, when you're racing, you're always looking ahead, and when I got to second, the gap was there, and I didn't close the gap, so we need to improve a little bit, because I got a good start. It should have been possible to be closer. Really big congrats to Mike and Wayne and their crew. They've done a really good job. We hurt ourselves a lot yesterday, so it's very disappointing, but I'm really happy with the fact that we've got a bike that was as good as we come here with after 2 really big crashes, so it's a credit to our team, and also Marcus's side of the team as well. They all chipped in, and I'm very thankful, because I made a mess of the bike yesterday twice.
If only it was a progressive grid situation for you. Good luck for the next one.
Thank you.
And in second position, Mad Mike Jones. Well done. That was really amazing watching those battles between you and Wayno. Happy with second?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously you want to get the win. I've said that in the past. I really come here to win the races, but I did everything that I perfectly could at the beginning, and got a really good start. Made the first few laps relatively clean, and Wayno had a bit extra pace, so he tried to go past me there, and that was a bit of fun, because I tried to get him back past him as well, and he'd come back past me, and at the end there he just had that little bit extra, and couldn't quite hang on to him. And right at the very end there, we just sort of suffered a little bit with the lap time, just with the tyre degrading. But, to come over second position is a really, really strong result, for the race, but also for the championship.
Well done. Thanks, Mike.
Cheers. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give him a round of applause. And Wayne Maxwell, your winner for race number 1 for Kawasaki Superbike. 3 wins for your season. Some much needed points towards your championship.
Yeah, look, absolutely. It was a pretty tough fought race, because over the back part where it was tight, the Suzuki worked fantastic, and then the last sector there, the Mike just had a bit more power than me, and it was pretty obvious in a straight line. So one time I made a mistake and lost the gap, and I was unsure whether I was able to get it back. But the guys from Team Suzuki X-Star gave me a fantastic package. The bike was unbelievable. The tyre stayed consistent, and as I said to the boys then again, I was the weakest thing on the bike. The bike was awesome.
Thanks, Wayne. Give him a round of applause. Your top 3 for race number 1 for Kawasaki Superbike.
Right, thanks very much, Emma. We're away in the sidecar race for the Horsell Sidecar Championship, and Mark Brax joins me in commentary. Braxy is their 3rd race of the weekend. 2 races yesterday, and so far it's been a very interesting round, because a new name has emerged at the front of the Australian Sidecar Championship in 2019.
Yeah, the Turner boys, they did pretty well. They did pretty well at the opening round at Wakefield Park as well. But it's a pretty good heritage of sidecar racing in the family, because their father used to do it. And I think Corey got excommunicated from the family when he decided to go solo racing a couple of years ago. But after a bit of talking, and they're back, and Daniel Turner, his younger brother, hanging off the side of it, as we look at Jero Joyce and Corey Blackman up the inside of Mick Alton and Howard Ford. They were having a good look at then. Round the outside they're going. That is a big move.
Well, over the back end of the circuit, there's not a lot of room for the sidecars to get through. Though this battle between Menzies and Joyce, there's no room there. I'll tell you what, was that Lee Menzies had his hand over the side of the outfit there, trying to hang on. It almost got bashed into by Jero Joyce. Oh, we saw a couple of sidecars yesterday go back to the pits with missing parts of their bodywork. Well, they almost were missing some there down into AGV corner.
That was a big effort though, but in the meantime, while that's been happening, Corey Turner and his brother have headed off and already got a lead of about 2.5 seconds as our defending champion Howard Ford and Lee Menzies. And then the first of the Formula 2 machines, Mick Alton and Chrissy Clancy there in 4th position. And for the viewers might say the Formula 1 machines are for those of 1,000 cc's capacity, and the Formula 2 machines up to 600 cc's capacity.
And also, too, interestingly, the Turner brothers on their Formula 1 machine is actually a short outfit, unlike most of the F1 machines tend to opt for the longer outfit.
Well, around here, the short outfit, especially in the conditions we've had, would be a better handling machine, because it's a more compact and doesn't get as squirrely as what the traditional... Oh, the Pat Clancy, no, that's Matty McKinnon on the second of the Bruce Collins machines, having one of the rare steers as a man in control of the outfit. Normally he's a swinger, but he's got that machine going rather remarkably well at the moment on that Honda power, the only Honda powered. Oh, no, Matty Brown down the bottom is on the Honda as well. But we don't often see Honda-powered machines in the sidecar outfits. The sidecars are mainly powered by Suzukis.
So looking at this battle too between Mick Alton on bike number 54 and is that Pat Clancy on bike number 26. So, well, a bit of family rivalry going on there with Chrissy Clancy, his mum, swinging on Mick Alton's machine.
Yeah, they've been a very formidable partnership in the last few years, winning a number of Formula 2 championships and also competing in the Isle of Man for 3 years as well before Chrissy said, this year I've had enough, mate, you can do it all on your own.
But also too, Steve Bonney, who's Pat Clancy's passenger, is a very, very experienced swinger on the outfits as well.
Yep, there's well, the boys, once you get the sidecar bug, it's hard to get out of you, as we've seen over the years. They keep coming back for more and more. As on screen at the moment, we can see how much effort the sidecar rider has to put in. He's not there. They say he's a passenger, but he's definitely not doing much, doing a lot more than what a passenger does out for the Sunday afternoon cruise.
Yeah, there's no relaxing happening there, and you can see there Daniel Turner, Corey's brother, working extremely hard, riding or passengering this weekend, throwing himself around on the back of the 52 Motorsports outfit with a couple of damaged vertebrae in his back as well.
Yeah, well, he had that after a get-off, and he was in a bit of pain, couldn't bend over a bit, but he reckons the best thing to cure for that is a bit of adrenaline.
Or a bit of sidecar yoga, Braxton.
That's what it is. As Gero Joyce is on screen at the moment with Corey Blackman hanging off the side. They're ex-Australian champions themselves.
They've started to reel in the Turners as well. Their last lap was actually the fastest lap of the race of Gero Joyce and Corey Blackman, a 1:32.0 as opposed to the 1:32.1 for Corey and Daniel Turner. So they come round now down the back straight and into the MA corner. Howard Ford trying desperately to try and go with Gero Joyce, but I think in this race, third place is looking pretty safe for him because he's got a 6-second lead over the Underwood Ford outfit, bike number 17 behind.
And we just look at those times again, a 31.724 for Gero Joyce that lap. That was a clear second in front of the leaders, Corey and Daniel Turner. So we don't need a stopwatch to know now that bike number 24 is right onto the back wheel of the Turner boys at the moment. And these guys had a pretty good battle in the stages of the second race yesterday afternoon too, Phil.
Yeah, and a 31.4 was 31.5 was actually the fastest lap for Corey Turner in the race yesterday afternoon. So they haven't got the same pace here today. Just wondering if maybe the wind's affecting them a little bit, although the wind seems to have dropped off from what it was earlier on this morning as well. So it's going to be interesting to know what's changed since yesterday, because they've looked completely dominant the entire weekend, have the Turners. But Gero Joyce may have found something overnight, and that's why he's now starting to close down our leaders.
Yeah, maybe something in the water last night might have helped him.
Well, it would have been an interesting afternoon in the sidecar pits yesterday afternoon after yesterday's race, Braxy, it's fair to say, as this battle between Clancy and Matty McKinnon.
Oh, there was a bit of a tag there that Pat Clancy had to get off the gas, which has allowed bike number 17, Phil Underwood, to get up there.
Well, also good to see Matty McKinnon back in the championship because, as you mentioned, he's done a lot of swinging, but he's also done a bit of riding. But he hasn't actually ridden for a couple of years, has he?
No, he's been pretty quiet. I think he's still getting over being a passenger on the Irving Vincent sidecar with Bo Beaton in the saddle.
Trying to get his arms back to normal length. But also, too, I think he spent a fair bit of time concentrating on building up his spoked wheel business and that as well.
Yeah, he's spent a lot of time there and also helping his old man out, who's a magical tuner. Is that? No, I thought he might have been slowing down a bit there, but Matty McKinnon in fourth overall and leading the way for the Formula 2 machines on the 600cc Honda.
Good to see a healthy field of sidecars racing here this weekend. I think we started with about 18 or 19. 15 actually started this race. Unfortunately, Jeff Brown and Darren Sheldrick have had an early finish to their race on board their F1 Suzuki-powered machine.
So looking at the lead now, it's down to 1.2 seconds from Corey Turner and his brother Daniel to Gero Joyce and Corey Blackman. And again, Corey put in his fastest lap of 32.087 for that previous lap. And Gero Joyce slowing it down a little bit, dipping back into the 32s as well after his fastest lap of 31.724. But this is a great battle for the Formula 2 bragging rights as well for the weekend. And the way it's going, I think Pat Clancy might be claiming his first national Formula 2 round win.
Yeah, well, he was strong yesterday. We saw him taking a race win in the Formula 2 class. And good to see him on the podium. And doing a good job here just on bike number 26, just managing to hold out McKinnon.
Pat Clancy's all of about 18 years old, I know. He started out riding the solos and being in the junior category, but oh no, we've just seen Jero Joyce and Corey Blackman right in the middle of the circuit there. Have they had a loop looking at those marks?
And it looks also too like the bike is failing to start, so there'll be a yellow flag out there.
There could be a red flag if they can't get it right there, because that's right in the middle of the track. They're trying to negotiate their way round.
Well, they've managed to get the bike going again, which is good news. Just in front of one of the most experienced campaigners out there, Bruce Collins, on board bike number 4 with Peter DeAngelis, his passenger.
And wondering what... Oh!
Not the first time Bruce Collins has had a bit of an incident, a bit of rubbing together with one of the other machines this weekend.
He's a national champion in the past, and Bruce Collins Motorcycles was one of the stalwart motorcycle shops, dealerships in Victoria and Melbourne for many, many years. Now, I think looking at those tyre marks on track, there might have been a bit of a spin case going on as they went through turn number 1. If we have a look at the replay of Brucey Collins having a good look, Jero Joyce going, no, you're not going anywhere near that. And there might be a bit of spray painting going on later on. Lucky he had his feet in there, actually, was Bonnie.
Was that smoke coming out of Matty McKinnon's machine now?
Yep,
and they've just got a pat on the back there for Matty McKinnon. Unfortunately, he's had to finish the race early, but the good news is he's pulled off the track, and I think that was Tracy Bryan actually indicating that the thing's gone bang.
And you can see some fluid on the bitumen. And I think he got a bit of oil on the back tyre there. Did you see the way he twitched and he was trying to pull up? But there's our leaders at the moment. Corey Turner and his brother Daniel.
They're on the penultimate lap. You can see there the physical work being done by Daniel Turner, try and keep that inside wheel somewhere near the ground through the long sweeping Suzuki corner on their Suzuki powered short outfit.
So Jero Joyce and Corey Blackman dropping back to 4th after that incident.
So, and I think is it a JBR chassis? I think that the Turners are using, Braxy, on board that machine.
Yeah, a lot of them home built in the backyards of Australia. As is the one from Jero Joyce. It's Hanger Racing from Western Australia. He does his own. Roy Hanger. Yeah,
we actually saw the team, didn't we, on Friday night out having dinner at the bowling club.
Good place to go when everybody else is very crowded. But take nothing away from these boys. It's a perfect score for the lads from Queensland as they come through now through the final turn. And it'll be 1 lap to go. And, well, the only ones that can beat them at the moment is themselves, maybe, I think.
Well, their lead is now out to 22 seconds over second place to Howard Ford and Lee Menzies, the reigning Australian champions on board bike number 1.
And coming through the screen there, you can hear the sounds of the Avon tyre, rear tyre being tortured as Corey Turner gives it a full handful to open up the taps and get it squirreling up the hill as he motors through on way to victory number 3 here at the 3rd round of the Horsell Consulting Australian Sidecar Championship.
And just Corey Turner adding his name to the long list of riders that have had successful solo careers and then adapted extremely well to the sidecars. Instantly one that springs to mind, of course, Peter Guest.
And Gavin Porteous before that. He did he did all right too on the
inside wheel up in the air.
They're having a bit of fun, I'd say there. Corey's probably going, yep, make sure you're still there, matey.
Yeah, just watch out for those couple of broken vertebrae in Daniel's back as they come down the YMI straight and into AGV corner.
There's a few black marks on that corner. There's been probably the centre of attention for a lot of riders this weekend.
Well, the Turner clan will be able to celebrate another victory here this weekend. There's quite a few of them here as well, isn't there? As always, they seem to go everywhere as a family. Round through the final corner now. the Yamaha corner and out onto the Motul Pirelli start-finish straight. 3 out of 3 from Corey Turner and Daniel Turner to take, well, that would be certainly a lead now in the Australian Sidecar Championship, Braxy, as they come across the line.
Well, at the previous round at Morgan Park, they only missed out on a perfect score because they got done for passing under a yellow, and they had their the first and second had the position swapped around.
27 seconds they were ahead at intermediate number 3 as we wait for Howard Ford. There he comes through turn 11 and 12 now and round through the final corner to take second position ahead of Pat Clancy and Steve Bonney, who will take F2 honours and third place outright on the road. Congratulations to Howard Ford and Lee Menzies. But it's thumbs up and waving to the crowd for Corey and Daniel Turner. A great result for them, 3 out of 3. And they will be very happy with their efforts here this weekend.
And they're having a bit of a post-mortem at the moment as they go around the track. So great racing from the Horsell Consulting sidecars as we look at the leaderboard.
Corey Turner and Daniel Turner take the win by 28.5 seconds over Howard Ford and Lee Menzies. And in third position, our leading F2 machine of Pat Clancy and Steve Bonney.
And a good result for Brucey Collins and Peter DeAngelis, and Gerard Joyce and Corey Blackman recovering on their Roy Hanger outfit to finish 5th after giving the chase at the leaders. And then it's Mick Alton and Chris Clancy who will be they'll be third in the Formula 2s.
In 7th position was Damien Edis and Melanie Schluter on board their Suzuki 600. And then the Clancy Grub machine in 8th position, Bear and Bear in 9th position. Great to see the father and son combo doing a great job there in 9th. And Reynolds and Warren round out the top 10. Our winners will be down on the podium very, very shortly.
Steve Martin gets a go at that, doesn't he?
And also the slowest lap we've seen from Corey Turner all weekend. Just savouring the victory as he comes round to make his way back to Park Fermé. Have a look at the highlights of the race now. It was a great start from second position on the grid for Corey Turner, who blasted the number 52 Motorsports machine down into the lead in turn 1. And I think that, Braxy, was about the last time anyone saw which way they went.
Yeah, it was gone, and a great start from Mick Alton too up there to get into third position.
But the field safely made their way through turn 1 as we saw this great battle between Gerard Joyce and also Howard Ford. They came together pretty close on a couple of times, and then all the battle of the red outfits with Mick Alton, Matty McKinnon and also Pat Clancy all going pretty close company as they made their way down through the back of the circuit.
And this was an enthralling battle for the Formula 2 bragging rights, and there was no quarter given or asked. The 3.5-inch front wheel philosophy doesn't really work in sidecar racing, but they do try and stretch that a little bit and think, well, have a go as we have a good look there at Brucey Collins been getting the blood nose off Gerard Joyce.
That was after he'd had a bit of a spin at turn 1. Then there was this incident as Matty McKinnon had made his way up into third position outright on the road and leading Formula 2. His engine went bang down the YMF straight and into AGV corner, and it was the end of his race. But at that time, these guys were about 20 plus seconds ahead of the rest of the field, cruising round to their third victory from 3 starts this weekend.
So looking at the points, 211 to 191 Turner over Joyce in the championship battle, with Howard Ford back there on 141 points. And Pat Clancy looking good for his first Formula 2 title. That's a pretty comprehensive lead of about 59 points.
So congratulations to our race winner, Corey and Daniel Turner, and our Formula 2 victor, Pat Clancy and Steve Bonney. They'll be down in Park Fermé in just a moment. The entire sidecar field making their way back into Park Fermé. The good news is, Braxy, for sidecar fans, they're at the remaining 2 rounds of the championship after this weekend as well. They'll be circulating around at Phillip Island in about 4 weeks' time, and then back to Sydney Motorsport Park, along with the Superbike Masters for the final round of the Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship for 2019.
And I'll tell you what, at Phillip Island there will be a very big turnout of outfits, because you know what Phillip Island brings out? The best in everybody.
That's exactly right, and well, it's going to be very interesting to see if the continued form of the Turners can be applied to a completely different circuit. So there'll be a short lunch break after this, Braxy, and then we will resume the afternoon program with the final race for all classes, Supersport 300, Kawasaki Superbike, the Motorsports TV Supersport, and along with all of the other support classes as well. Time to hear from our winners. Down to Steve Martin.
Well, we've had some fantastic racing in the F1 and F2 Horsell Sidecar Championships here at Winton. And first of all, I want to start off by congratulating the F2 winners of the weekend. You've had a perfect weekend. That's Patrick Clancy and Stephen Bonney. Well done, guys. What was it like out there on track?
Yeah, it was a pretty close race, and we were dicing backwards and forwards the whole time, but we managed to get here. It's great.
Oh, that's good to see. And what about yourself?
Less carnage than yesterday, and we had a good run. Chaser Matty, then Matty had an issue, but yeah, we had to be there at the end and we won. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, it was a perfect weekend for the F2 boys. F1 though, the big boys, the Turner brothers. It's good to see Corey. I'm used to seeing you on a Superbike. Big claps from everybody in the crowd there. Congratulations on the win. You also had a fantastic weekend, both of you boys.
Yeah, definitely 3 from 3 wins. Can't get much better than that, and regain the championship lead. So. Yeah, it's not that I didn't want to be out there on a Superbike. I'd much rather the 2 wheels. Dad probably hate me saying that, but...
Now, Daniel, I've heard that you're faster than your brother. How did you figure out who rides?
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a... I've been swinging for Dad for the last year or so, and then Dad thought we'd throw Corey on and see how we go. And, yeah, to be here and get 3 from 3 wins, it's an awesome achievement, and a big thanks to the team and everyone watching at home.
Well, thank you very much. It was a great result here for both of these teams, the F1 and F2.
Thanks very much, Steve. Congratulations to our F1 and F2 winners. As we mentioned, short lunch break. Action will resume here at 1 o'clock, so only about 16, 17 minutes to wait until we get to more racing action for this afternoon's program here at Winton Motor Raceway, round 5 of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship.